Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is story about what if Naruto becomes badass in Chunin exams part 1. Before I start, please do support for more amazing content and comments for part 2. Do consider to subscribe my channel and share my video to your friends and check out the description as well. Let's start the video. Konohagaku no Sato, Forest Death. Sigh, great Jewist freaking great. Thank you creepy snake lady. How in the fuck am I gonna get the hell out of here? Speaking of which, where in the hell am I? Here we find one Naruto Uzumaki dressed in his horrible jumpsuit with blue shinobi sandals and a blue Konoha headband tied around his forehead, standing in the middle of what appears to be the very bottom of a pit of some sort. When Naruto was pushed aside by the enemy that separated him from his annoying and soon-to-be possibly dead teammates, he fell into a hole that is just about the size of one big-boned Akamichi genin. Naruto was still conscious right after falling, as his ninja pouch, or possibly some sort of mysterious force, broke his fall. Naruto Uzumaki hasn't been living a very prosperous life for himself, as bad luck would always seem to take away any chance of happiness and success for him. For the young blonde Uzumaki, life hasn't been as sweet as he thought it would be. At the early age of 7, Naruto entered the Shinobi Academy with the help of the Sandaime Hokage Hiruzen Sarutobi, believing that life as a ninja would save him from the horrible childhood he was forced to live due to something he was born with. However, things didn't go as he planned them to. He failed the academy 3 times because of some of the teachers making sure he never did pass by rigging the tests, lowering his grades and outright neglecting him at any chance they would get. He just managed to pass on the very same day he failed for the 3rd time because of stopping the now deceased rogue Chunin Mizuki, who tried to steal the forbidden jutsu scroll for who knows what reason. The 3rd Hokage along with Irika Yumino decided to pass him as a reward for retrieving the scroll, and again, Naruto believed that it would be smooth sailing from there. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case again. It seems Lady Luck or whatever god there is out there just wasn't on his side, as Naruto was dealt with bad luck again. His genin team consisted of a stupid, idiotic, talentless and worthless fangirl who only passed due to being able to do one of the 3 required ninjutsu techniques and book smarts, and a revenge-driven arrogant avenger who just so happens to be the last legal Uchiha, Sasuke Uchiha. Naruto's teammates were anything but teammates. Sasuke was always the person demanding things from the poor Jounin sensei they had, and always got what he wanted, courtesy of the idiotic civilian council and the Konohagakure elders. Sasakura Haruno was, for short, dead weight on the team. Naruto was always the one to save her from danger because Sakura would either 1. Be too shit scared of the situation she would get herself in, 2. Have no fucking skill of any sort to help survive on her own, or the worst, which is 3. Wait patiently for her knight and shining armor Sasuke-kun to save her, which Sasuke wouldn't even bother to do or think of. It's not like Naruto wanted anything or a thank you from the stupid pink-haired screeching banshee, but every time he saves her life from who knows what she would get herself into, he gets nothing but insults from her and her constant trying of punching him upside the head for being a big baka and never ever helped me when Sasuke-kun should. Naruto wasn't by all means affected by this, but it was getting annoying every single time they went on a mission, or out for training, which mind you was always one-sided. The Jounin sensei was the only person Naruto enjoyed being around. Kakashi Hatake had long explained to Naruto that this team was already doomed the minute it was made. Kakashi was being blackmailed by the civilian council to train Sasuke Uchiha, and leave Naruto alone as a means to flatten any chance of becoming stronger and better as a shinobi. Of course, Kakashi did manage to train Naruto on the weekends through the use of shadow clones, and even helped him to be able to use a small amount of the chakra of Naruto's tenet. All in all, Naruto's ninja career wasn't as joyful as he thought it would be. With the Chunin exams, Naruto believed that the 3rd time could possibly go his way, as once he becomes a Chunin, he would finally be rid of the duck-but-haired avenger and delusional fangirl. But here he is once again at the hands of bad luck, trapped in some deep hole with God knows what, with no way out. Shakes head sideways negatively. Am I really not meant for anything good in life? I keep trying to have faith that everything will go good for me, but nothing ever seems to work. The Sandaime was just trying to make me feel good about myself, wasn't he? Sigh, you know what? I think this is the last time I ever think of believing in good luck. Maybe I'll just live with what bad luck has given me, and just live in this nice empty dark and mysterious hole I fell in. Oh great, now I'm talking to myself. Just as Naruto was about to sit down in a meditation position and meditate to calm himself, a golden light flashed behind him, and his senses picked up a gigantic chakra source just behind him. Naruto quickly took out a kunai, and held it to protect himself as he turned around, and almost dropped the kunai out as he saw. In front of him is a gigantic ancient temple visible from the gold Indian writings on its wall, and its doors are as large as the gates of Konoha, leading Naruto to believe that they are pearly doors. However, that wasn't the only thing that piqued the Kyuubi Jinchuriki's interest or shock, as right in front of the huge doors is a glass box, or a casket from Naruto's view, holding some sort of human being inside, as this box was just floating in mid-air on its own. What the hell is going on here? What is this place? was what Naruto said. He took another minute to take a look at the humongous temple and glass box that is right in front of him. Naruto took a few steps forward, then stopped when he reached the floating glass box. Inside the box lays a humanoid figure that appears to be a girl with long gray hair going past her buttocks reaching to her knees and has white wolf-like ears at the top of her head, and her height oddly appears to be the same as Naruto's in estimation. She is wearing no clothing at all, leaving her body completely exposed for Naruto to see as her arms are crossed together over her chest, and her eyes are closed with the chest rising and falling every 2 seconds. Naruto blushed deeply at this, and couldn't help himself but be marveled at the sheer beauty of the gray-haired girl resting inside the glass box, and think of the girl in the cover of this fic. From the corner of his eyes, Naruto looked up to the huge doors of the temple, and saw a stone tablet resting on the very floor. He slowly walked around the glass box as to not disturb its levitation and the girl sleeping inside it, then reached the small stone table and picked up. This temple belongs to the former Otsutsuki princess who is now the queen of the Otsutsuki clan. The rabbit goddess Kagaya Otsutsuki. This temple is her tomb and final resting place, and only her best chosen descendant can enter this temple. Wow, could that girl be Kagaya Otsutsuki? Said Naruto as he turned around to look at the naked girl sleeping inside the glass box. He placed the stone tablet down, then walked up to the floating box as he tried to look for a way to open it. He saw hinges on the other side of the box, then pulled the lid up slowly as to not cause a disturbance. Once that was done, Naruto once again stared at the sleeping form of the magnificent naked gray-haired girl before him, and without thinking, his right hand moved to her face and caressed her right cheek slowly with his thumb rubbing against the girl's dry lips. Her skin is so soft, but cold at the same time. She's so OW. Naruto screamed in pain, and looked down to see his thumb had been bitten, and something was sucking the blood out him fast. He looked to see it was the girl as her eyelids opened to reveal gorgeous pupilless red orbs that stared at him in happiness and fear. Before Naruto could say anything, he felt himself lose consciousness, and fell on his back with his eyes closing. A few hours later, ugh, what just happened to me? God, I feel like crap. Grunts, said Naruto as he slowly opened his eyelids. His vision wasn't the same as it was before, as Naruto could now see strange blue lines floating everywhere with his sense of smell being tenfold, and his hearing has now increased completely. He quickly sat up to see where he was, and his eyes fell on the gray-haired girl who was standing before him still naked as the day she was born with her hands on her hips giving Naruto a calm look as her eyes show mischief, smirking at Naruto as she said, and think of the voice of Jill Valentine from Resident Evil. Glad to see you've finally recovered, Naruto-sa, punched Tio the mouth. Naruto interrupted her, and quickly got up his feet and threw a right hook to her mouth causing the girl to fall to her side by the force of the punch. Naruto quickly looked around for a weapon, and saw his kunai on the floor then grabbed it quickly. He quickly sat on the girl's stomach and held the kunai at her neck and said with a glare, "Who are you and what have you done to me?" Before the girl would answer, she closed her eyes shut and moaned at the pain of losing a tooth, and pulled it out using her right hand. She opened her eyelids showing those mischief pupilless red orbs and smirked at Naruto again with a mouth full of blood and replied, "Ano, I would tell you my name, but by the way you are holding that kunai I could lose my vocal cords at any second now, which I really don't mind, but it would be total drag nonetheless. Please, smiles. Let me up and I'll tell you everything you want to know," and so on. "I promise I won't hurt you, as I mean no harm to my master." Giggles. Confused at the expression on her face and her happy mood, Naruto was hesitant at first, but stood up slowly allowing the girl to get back up on her small bare feet. Naruto could now see other things among the both of them, which are plastic bags filled with blood and glass containers filled with blood while others had different sorts of ink inside. His attention went back to the girl who was now standing on her feet and said to Naruto, "Before I say anything, I first need to know what year it is." Naruto raised an eyebrow at this, but nonetheless replied 2016. "Why do you ask?" "My name is Jashin. Jashin Otsutsuki. Firstborn child of the queen of the Otsutsuki clan and the late Kami, the founder of the Otsutsuki clan and former matriarch of the Otsutsuki clan. I go by many monikers but my current one is the goddess of blood and destruction. As to why I ask you what year it is, I need to know just how long have I been asleep, which is actually 1,000 years I think. Not really sure but I think so." Thinking pose with index finger tapping chin. Naruto was frozen in shock with his eyes slowly widening into white dinner plates, then spoke again to the short little girl in front of him identifying herself as Jashin. Jashin as in Jashin? The god who grants his followers immortality in exchange for killing people? That Jashin? The girl I smiled and replied yep. Although, it seems that my secret of being a girl is now revealed. Shrugs. Oh well. Matt, wait a minute, you didn't want anyone to know you're a girl? Why you know what? I don't want to know. Look, Jashin-sama, I'm sorry for punching you like that. It's just, you don't have to tell me, Naruto-sama. I pretty much know everything about you. I got a glimpse of your entire past from the taste of your blood and your blood tastes Susu. Tongue makes a clicking noise. Good. Closes eyes for a second and moans sensually. Anyway, as to what happened to you, I first need to tell you a little more about me, my clan's origins and my parents. Would you like to listen? Naruto hesitantly nodded, and followed Jashin up to the doors of the temple that slowly opened on their own. At first, there was no light, but candles were lit by Jashin's snap of her fingers, giving Naruto a clear view of a black-tiled floor with white walls, and in front of him is a large portrait of a 5 feet 4 inches foot-tall woman in possession of very delicate facial features, as she has extremely long sweeping white hair that touches the ground, and the most noticeable thing about her appearance were the 2 horn-like protrusions which stuck out from her head. She possesses eyes that were similar, if not exactly, the pale Byakugan eyes, and a third eye on the center of her forehead with its eyelids parting vertically. Her eyebrows are cut very short, and she has a dark shade of lipstick on her lips and a dark shade of nail polish on her long fingernails. For clothes, she has the traditional high-collared kimono, which was adorned with intricate lines and tomo running down the center and edges of the gown, and wore very flat shoes. Jashin turned around to look at Naruto and said to him, "The woman in the portrait is my mother. If you read the stone tablet outside, you should know that she is the current head of my clan after my dead pasted away. I would take us up to her room, but you aren't allowed up there yet." Naruto looked to his left and spotted a red leather chair. Jashin saw what he was looking at, and quickly grabbed the chair for him and motioned him to sit. Naruto sat down on the chair, but was confused at Jashin not getting herself a chair too. "Aren't you going to get yourself a chair too?" "Nah. I've been laying on my back for 1,000 years. If I try and sit on anything again, my legs could turn into dust. Now then, as I said before, in order for me to tell you why you see, hear, smell and feel different, you first need more answers as to who I really am, where I come from, and why I was sleeping in that old glass container along with who my parents are. Firstly, if people have told you that things like gods and goddesses do exist, you should know that they really do. However, these deities all come from one family, or should I say one clan, which is the Otsutsuki clan, but aren't the same as some of us, vary as different species and beings, but that's a whole other explanation for another time, Naruto-sama. Our clan was born on a faraway galaxy from this one, and we left our home on a mission to create life and find more power to become the strongest race in the entire cosmos. Some of us went to different galaxies while some others went to alternate galaxies similar to this one, but my mother and a few others came to this specific galaxy. My father, at the time of his life living among us, had sent us all out to different places to either inhabit, conquer or destroy, and I was the person he first sent to this planet before my mother and her fleet had arrived. My mission was to plant a tree of life that would help this planet be able to create separate species, land and other assortments of life, but most importantly, this tree would be able to grow a fruit that bears what humanity calls today chakra. Matt, are you telling me that chakra came from aliens? That actually isn't as strange as it sounds. Smirk. Humanity has always wondered where such a gift and a curse like chakra originated from. Of course the people during that time knew about the holy tree's fruit, but mankind was even created when I was still planting and nurturing the holy tree from my own blood that corrupted the 7 seas of the world. Anyway, after 2,000 years of human life being inhabited and heaven and hell being created, my father finally decided to send my mother along with her personal fleet to this world, and his last dying wish was for my mother to rule both this world and the heavens, as I would take up the underworld and the 9 rings of hell. At that time, humanity was faced with a war that nearly tore the world apart, as bloodshed was the only thing that painted this world when my mother arrived, thanks to me of course. When the holy tree finally grew a single fruit since its creation, my mother ate the fruit whole, and became the first being to have chakra. With that power, she was able to stop the many wars that overran the world and placed order onto the world. An order where everyone would acknowledge her as God and bow to her whether they wanted to or not. Jashin kept quiet for a moment as she licked the dryness off her lips, then continued. Some time later, my mother became pregnant with 2 boys. One was named Hamura Otsutsuki while the other was named Hagoromo Otsutsuki. During that time she raised the 2 boys. My mother kept me hidden from them as she wanted them to believe they were special and the only last existing Otsutsuki males in existence. "Demo, why would she do that?" said Naruto as he gained a look of question. Jashin shrugged and replied, "Fuck if I know. The woman practically took me into her pocket dimension, and I never came out again during the time those 2 were around. By the way, aren't you in the middle of a test right now?" "Jashin-sama, I would rather be here than up there right now. I don't really care if I fail this test, as I already know I would, considering what is or what has happened to my teammates will be pinned on me. So please continue your explanation. I have all the time in the world right now." Jashin caught a glimpse of sadness and disappointment written all over Naruto's face for a split second, and frowned as images of the blonde Uzumaki's past came flashing to her. "Alright," said Jashin with a sigh, "so anyway, these 2 boys were raised to live up to what my mother wanted them to be. I don't know about Hamura, considering she never got the chance to tell him his destiny, but with Hagoromo, she prophesied that he will be a great sage that will become the world's greatest warrior and protect humanity from anyone who tries to disturb its peace. Unfortunately, my mother, she began to get really sick. Not in the sense of an illness, but in the sense of her mind state, as the holy tree's conscience was slowly becoming more and more corrupted each passing moment, as both Hamura and Hagoromo got stronger. In my theory, I believe that the holy tree did not want anyone besides me and my mother to have its chakra, and became angered when it saw Hamura and Hagoromo grow stronger and stronger with its power. It was only a matter of time before my mother and the holy tree combined would form that fucking monstrosity known as the 10 Tails. Before that happened, my mother, with the last inch of sense she had, pulled me out of her pocket dimension and told me that I am the only true child she wanted to keep her true power and belongings. Then she placed me into that glass container as a way to keep me safe from Hamura and Hagoromo along with their descendants and other Otsutsuki clan members, and sent both of our personal avatars to claim our thrones in heaven and hell. She knew very well that I was a person who needed someone's guidance and care since my father passed away leaving me to her, so she decided to make a command on the glass container that whoever will open it will become my husband and sole master woman or man. I smiles. Naruto said nothing as he tried his very best to process everything Jashin has told him. After a couple of minutes, the blonde Uzumaki looked up to Jashin and said to her, "So let me get this straight. Your mother is the reason why you were locked up in that box, and she wanted the person who found you to take care of you and love you as she and your father did. Am I right?" Nods. "Hi, Naruto-sama." With a sigh, Naruto looked into Jashin's red pupilless eyes to see if anything she had told him was a lie, added to the ability of reading a person's emotions, and saw she was being completely honest to the core about every single word she said. "Sigh, first I am born with this stupid lousy nine-tailed fox that is partially the reason for my horrible childhood, then I somehow never get what I want or never get what I simply wish for in my life, added with my stupid genin team, the idiotic council, the elders and some old bastard trying his very best to turn me into an emotionless Jinchuriki, and no I get the gods dropping this on me. Sigh, fuck you Lady Luck. I really fucking hate you if you exist." "Okay, thanks for telling me that, Jashin S.A. Please, only my servants and slaves are supposed to call me that. You aren't my servant or slave, but my lover, caretaker and humble but energetic master that doesn't take me a while to know and love. I am the person who worships you for being able to find me and awaken me. To be honest, you aren't the only person who tried to open my container, as over the last couple of centuries a lot of historians have found this place. Fortunately, they never lived to tell everyone what they found down here. Naruto's sweat dropped at Jashin's statement and dark chuckle, and thought to himself, and she is everything people have made her out to be. A deranged psychopath who enjoys killing people and spilling the blood of innocent people for no apparent reason, which is fucked up, but in my case, she's kinda alright with me. Hold on a minute, Jashin said, Naruto getting a HM from Jashin and continued, "You never exactly told me what you did to me." Hits herself in the forehead. Ugh. I completely forgot. Simple, all I did to you was activate your Uzumaki bloodline limit and work on your genetic makeup through a small blood transfusion, and I gave you a ton of new abilities to master and use. This temple has a training facility of its own, but you can't use it until I finally dig up this entire temple out of the ground. It's gonna take me and my cousin a bit of time to get it out, but I'm pretty sure I'll be in contact with her in no time. For now though, you have the basics of all your bloodlines and abilities down naturally, so you will be able to survive up there with them. Nani? Did you just say Uzumaki bloodline? Said Naruto with a look of confusion planted on his face, making Jashin raise an eyebrow but sigh tiredly as she said, "If your memory tells me anything, it's that nobody ever told you about your true lineage and your parents." Sigh. "Okay. All will be explained to you when you get out of this place and finish this part of the Chunin exams, Naruto-sama. By some kind of dumb luck, I can sense the life forces of both the Haruno and the Uchiha just half a mile from here, and you really need to get there before they really do die this time." "Ano, Jashin, how exactly do you expect?" I widens. "I think I know how." "And why do I know how?" Jashin folded her arms over her bare chest and responded to an ecstatic Naruto, "Like I said, once you're done with this stage of the exams, I'll tell you everything about your parents, your heritage, and what exactly you are now capable of. Now if you don't mind, I need to clean up this place and make it suitable for you." Uzumaki-sama smirks. Without even mentioning a word, Naruto left in a red swirl that swallowed him up from the center of his stomach, leaving Jashin alone with the temple. The gray-haired loli smiled to herself, then looked up to the portrait of her mother, as she said to herself, "Or it. Sigh, what a guy I have for a master. I hope I will be his change of luck in life. Arigato, Ka-sama to-sama." Hiding in some bushes are the 3 young genin of Team 10, also known as the famous Ino Shikacho trio of Konohagakure. One of the 3 is from the Akamichi clan, chewing and munching on some bag of chips nervously, the other being a young platinum blonde-haired female Yamanaka shaking with worry but looking on at what was unfolding before in disappointment as she is seething in anger. And the other was a lazy Nara who secretly and seriously wanted to be in any other place but here, but he knew very well that he would be getting the steel frying pan to the face if he didn't take part in this exam. Grunt, Ino, we need to leave right now before they sense our chakra signatures and do God knows what to us. You know very well that even if we tried to help Sakura and Sasuke out, we would also be in a lot of danger, and you heard what they said. They're here to fight Sasuke and only Sasuke. They don't care about Sakura, said Shikamaru, with Chuji now closing the bag of chips, saving them for another time obviously, supported Shikamaru's suggestion. Yeah, you know. We don't even know that much ninjutsu or any other field of offense right now to help save Sakura and Sasuke, not mention Naruto is nowhere to be seen, meaning that he could have been, you know. Against these guys, we're practically whoopee cushions waiting to be sat on. You saw that Rock Lee kid fight them. They used some sort of sound jutsu on him, And that Rock Lee kid is a Chunin level genin according to what Asuma-sensei said. Will you cowards stop weaseling out of this? I know the both of you don't like Sasuke and Sakura that much, and grits teeth, so do I. Even though he is a total ass and Sakura is, well, you don't need me to tell you what her large overgrown head is filled with, but they are still our fellow ninja. And you know the law we Konoha ninja go by, said Ino, getting a tired grunt from Shikamaru and a side glare from Chuji. The event that unfolded before them is one Sakura Haruno trying her best to defend an unconscious Sasuke who was resting under a tree against 3 sound genin who have just recently defeated and knocked out 1 Rock Lee of Team Guy. One of the sound genin looked like a mummified boy with only his right eye visible, with the other male having a very similar hairstyle to Konoha's copy ninja Kakashi Hatake, and the female of the group has very long raven hair, wearing the same umbu pants as her teammates, with saban tucked between her fingers. The mummified genin did a small stretch while saying, well, that was something. Hopefully no one interferes again. Next time, I won't be so merciful. Zaku snorted at what the mummified genin said, and took out a kunai from his pouch and threw it over to the tree that Sasuke was resting under, only to get knocked away by a sloppy shuriken Sakura threw that mistakenly killed a squirrel hidden in the bushes nearby. Alright. Enough with the funny business, you pink-haired bimbo. You know what we're here for, and it's that Uchiha dork sleeping like a baby under that tree, and is he sucking his thumb right now? Never mind. If you don't let us through and do what we came here to do, me and Dosu will probably consider putting a paper bag of that fat fucking head of yours, and have a little 15 minutes of fame with those 2 holes between your legs. Era, Zaku said. Kin, are you sure it's a girl? That pretty much looks like a boy to me. More of an Okama if you asked me. Zaku-kin. We've wasted enough time trying to tell this genin to move away peacefully. I will take her out myself. Before Dosu could finish what he had to say, a red swirl began to appear right in front of Sakura. Then in mere seconds, a human figure started to morph into existence. After a full 20 seconds of the sudden red swirl's appearance, the swirl was gone, revealing the blonde Uzumaki hero himself, Naruto Uzumaki, with a completely different wardrobe that oddly seems a little gothic due to the colors of the clothing. His jumpsuit pants changed color from its orange and blue to a straight black, along with his shinobi sandals being black, and his jumpsuit jacket was gone, along with his Konoha white t-shirt replaced by a white t-shirt adored with a black upside-down star. And lastly is his Konoha headband still tied around his forehead, but he also has a small platinum braid chain around his neck, and there appears to be 2 tattoos on the top part of his hands, as his left hand has the Kenji 4 ring and the other has the Kenji 4 yang. His facial appearance is still the same, but his eyes however still hold its shine, but they now have a gloss black color instead of the ocean blue, with 3 white rings inside the iris surrounding the pupil. Huh. A wardrobe change? I didn't ask for this. Shrugs. Well, that's how it works in fanfiction, I guess, said Naruto as he gave a quick look over himself, and lifted up his shirt to see his torso was now fully ripped with a 6-pack, and the seal around his belly button was still in place. Team 10, who were still hiding in the bushes, all gaped and eye widened at Naruto's new look, with Ino sporting a blush seeing Naruto's ripped abs and vessels appearing on all sides of his arms. Guys, what happened to Naruto? Said Chuji as his eyes were still a little eye widened at the sight of his fellow ramen-loving comrade appearing out of nowhere dressed in some new clothing he has never seen him wear before. Shikamaru shook his head and said to his big-boned friend Chuji, as much as I hate doing this, and I really do, my guess is that Sakura and Sasuke must have left him behind somewhere for a very unreasonable idea, or they probably ditched him since they really don't like him much. You know how much those 2 don't want him around. Besides, I heard Kakashi-sensei has been secretly training Naruto more properly than he trains Sasuke. Shakes head negatively. That's not it. Can't you guys feel his chakra output and his Jounin level chakra? It's suffocating but so soothing at the same time. And those tattoos on his hands, they have so much chakra inside them, but it's like the chakra inside of them are oddly a broken down version of it. Plus those abs, said Ino, getting a sweat drop from Chuji, who took out his bag of chips and continued eating, while Shikamaru thought of saying something smart, but settled for sighing and spoke to his 2 teammates, as he said, this is such a drag. Back with the sound team in Team 7, the 3 sound genin eye widened at Naruto's sudden appearance, but they soon became overwhelmed with anger at his ignorance of the situation he is currently in. Naruto baka! Where the hell have you been? Was what Sakura screeched, making Naruto look up to see the 3 sound genin glaring daggers at him, releasing all the killing intent they have, then looked behind him to see Sakura standing there, flaying her arms around like a headless chicken while screaming loudly at the top of her lungs, with a small blood vessel appearing at the very center of her oversized forehead. Grunts. Haruno, I would say it's nice to meet you, but I'd be lying to myself if I did. Now do us all a favor and shut the fuck up for once in your life before more enemy genin come by over here for your fat forehead ass and make the situation more worse than it already is. Sakura was frozen at Naruto's statement, but chose to disobey the favor she was asked and was about to open her mouth and speak when, punt, she got an elbow to the head by Naruto's right arm, sending her flying way back into the tree that Sasuke was resting under. The 3 sound genin gasped at this blonde literally elbowing his own teammate, but Zaku snapped out his shock and grinned as he said to Naruto, and who the hell are you? Are you this green little monster's teammate or something? Kixley's face. Zaku, Just hold on a minute, said Dosu as he took a step forward and said to Naruto, you're the Uzumaki Orochimaru-sama told us to be wary of. You need to be dealt with before you cause any more problems for our mission. Naruto raised an eyebrow at Dosu, then his expression gained a fox-like grin right before he suddenly vanished into thin air, causing all three genins to freeze up at what happened to the blonde before them but started to look around frantically for where Naruto could be. Hey Dosu, how about we just kill the Uchiha now? The kid must have bailed as soon as he realized he can't take us all on. No, Zaku. Orochimaru taught me the seal that I should use on the Uzumaki if he is to use that against us. We need to take care of him. Before Dosu could finish, he sensed Naruto's presence very close to kin, and looked to see him bent on one knee right behind her with the index fingers of his hands being coated in white wind chakra. He poked the raven-haired sound girl right in the anus, and she immediately screamed in pain as she flew straight up into the sky and came down flat. Before she could fall to the ground, Naruto raised his right hand to Dosu's direction, and the girl flew right at him in blinding speeds, knocking the air right out of the mummified genin who was pushed back by kin being thrown at him by some sort of invisible force. The very trees behind Dosu were also blown away, along with a small medium-sized crater appearing right where the trees were. Zaku, along with Team 10, all eye widened with their jaws opening wide in shock of what Naruto just did, and became even more shocked when they sensed the high amount of chakra Naruto used in whatever technique he used on kin and Dosu, along with the destruction the jutsu caused. Ugh. I guess I need to do chakra control exercises again. But whatever, I can't complain at using that jutsu. Now then, let's see if I can. Naruto looked at the kenji on his left hand, and in a quick second it glowed white as a long katana blade with a green handle and diamond-shaped guard appeared right before him, then grabbed it with his right hand. He glanced at the blade, then looked over to a frightened Zaku and said to him, "You with Kakashi-sensei's gravity-fucking-defying hair? You know a lot of wind jutsu, right?" "Right. Hey, I'm fucking talking to you, you little cunt!" Zaku jumped at Naruto's sudden yelling, and flinched at the killing intent-infused glare he got from the blonde and replied hesitantly, "Why yeah. What's it to you? I know a few techniques in the Book of Wind Style and Fire Style combination jutsu, and I want to use this S-ranked jutsu I can use with this sword right now. You want to be my guinea pig to see just how awesome it is?" Grins. What? Said Zaku as he slowly backed away in fear of the killing intent being forced upon him, but he didn't have the chance to run as Naruto gave him a look indifference, and said too late. The sword was suddenly coated in red and black swirling flames, and Naruto pointed the sword right at Zaku as he said, "Uzumaki style, dance of the fire whirlpool." The flames flew straight at Zaku in the form of a swirl with the black and red flames chasing each other, and consumed the now screaming genin as the swirling flames flew straight into the air with him. In a matter of seconds, the flames were gone, and Zaku came back crashing down onto the ground, making a small crater where he landed. His clothes and skin were burnt, with his hair now being gone, leaving him bald. By now, Team 10 could be seen with their eyes looking as if they would pop out from their sockets at any given second, or their irises and pupils would soon become non-existent. Deadpan, I didn't even use that much chakra on that jutsu. Meh, shrugs, my chakra control isn't as good as it used to be anymore. Sigh, thank you, Jashin, grunts, said Naruto as he discarded the sword like it was nothing. Then just as he was about to walk up to Sakura, he looked up to see Sasuke now walking out of the tree he was under with flame-like marks covering most of his body, and purple-colored chakra seems to be coating his entire form. The last Uchiha raised his hands up to his face, chuckling darkly to himself as he said, "Now this is the power I have so long awaited for. With this power, I can accomplish anything, and nothing can touch me." He quickly scanned the area to see a lot of trees have been cleaved right off the ground with a massive crater that has 2 unconscious sound genin in it. Then he saw the burnt and naked dead body of another sound genin laying on the ground with smoke coming from his wounds. He turned again to see the unconscious form of his female teammate laying on the ground with her forehead bleeding. Then his Sharingan blazing eyes landed on the one person he secretly despised the most in the village, then smirked as he said, "Dobe, I see you have survived that attack Orochimaru did to you, and I can see you finally discarded those kill me now clothes of yours that have disgraced my presence as an Uchiha HN. A change of clothes and some tattoos won't help you now, as you are, and will always be weak. You will always kiss the ground I walk upon, and now that I am far stronger than I ever was, I have finally reached my potential. No matter who trains you or what you do to become stronger than you are now, you will never be able to match my level of power, as this," smirks, "is the full might of the Uchiha clan. A clan that exceeds all clans in existence. But you wouldn't know that, as you're nothing but a clanless lost cause that doesn't even know its parents. Your mere existence is the most pathetic kind to ever walk this earth." By now, Sasuke expected Naruto to implode with anger and rage and come rushing to him, hoping to shut him up and fail badly. But he slightly eye-widened to see Naruto talking to Ino Yamanaka and Shikamaru in a casual fashion, as if he didn't hear anything Sasuke said, or he rather ignored him altogether. The blonde finally turned to Sasuke with a deadpan and spoke in monotone voice. "Are you done with the monologue? We need to get moving quickly. Your banshee bitch over there needs medical attention from the injury eye." "You bastard! You dare ignore an Uchiha? I will. Ugh, maybe I should just do Kakashi-sensei a favor and seal up that stupid hickey before you go mad with power, and do something I'm gonna regret from letting you do later. Naruto raised his right hand to Sasuke, and by some sort of invisible force, Sasuke was pulled forward towards Naruto, then stopped as his neck was captured by Naruto's hand and gasped for breath, as the choke hold Naruto had on him was taking every last inch of breath he had. Gold chains erupted from Naruto's back and held Sasuke by his wrists and ankles, holding him in place as he released his grip on Sasuke's neck, then made a high number of hand signs and blinding speeds Sasuke couldn't see, nor could Chuji, Ino, and Shikamaru see them either. Stopping at the horse hand sign, Naruto placed his left hand on the curse seal Sasuke had on the left side of his neck, then whispered, "Sealing technique, serial prison level 2. At this, Sasuke clenches his eyes shut as his body shook violently from the pain as the flame-like marks retracted back into the curse seal fast, and the brooding duck-but-haired Uchiha made a girl-like scream from the sheer pain he felt from the sealing technique used on him by Naruto, along with the great lose of the venomous power he had for the short few seconds he felt retract back into the cursed seal. After a full minute of screaming and shaking a lot, Sasuke was now unconscious and fell on his back hard as soon as the gold chains retracted back into Naruto's back. Ino, along with Shikamaru and Chuji, who were watching the whole event of Sasuke losing all the foul and sinister power he had simply vanished from Naruto's doing, looked at their blonde comrade in shock and slight worry as she said to him, "And Naruto, I might not have really known you that well, but what you have just done isn't exactly normal for a genin like you or any of us. Even if you get training from one of Konohagaku's best jounin, you don't do that sort of stuff, and you just did Fuinjutsu, which is something a Konoha genin could never even do, no matter how high your reserves are. Just what happened to you when Sakura and Sasuke left you behind for dead?" Naruto gained his trademark grin and replied to Ino, "Well, as much as I want to and would love to explain it to you, I don't know how I can. Let's just say, I found some long-lost treasure that was buried somewhere here in the Forest of Death, treasure that just might change my luck for a while before things begin to spiral out of control like they always do. Now, like I said, you three better not mention a single word about what you just saw here. And take this." Naruto took out a scroll from his pocket and handed it to Ino as he continued, "This should sweeten the deal. You guys need an earth scroll, right?" Yeah, said Shikamaru, "We do. But when do you plan to tell everyone about this?" "When you get to the tower, you do know that Sakura will tell, or actually scream to everyone that you hit her, and you're gonna be drilled with questions about the Fuinjutsu seal you just placed on Sasuke. Don't worry about when I tell them, Shika-san. Everyone will see how I've changed when I decide I want them to know. Now scram. Tenten-san's team will be here any moment now, and you don't want to be asked troublesome questions, do you?" said Naruto, getting a negative shook of the head from Shikamaru as Team 10 left immediately, with Naruto sending a wink at Ino, who almost tripped in her tree hopping before regaining her balance. As soon as they left, the Kenji on Naruto's right hand glowed and the two Kenjis on both of his hands vanished from sight, with his eyes changing into his previous blue. Without making a hand sign or shouting the phrase, two shadow clones popped into existence and picked up the unconscious forms of Naruto's teammates, and were about to leave but stopped when a tired Tenten and slightly frustrated Neji appeared from the top of a tree just in front of Naruto. "Heh, grins, I was wondering when you two would show up," said Naruto as he smiled and greeted Tenten and Neji with the wave of the hand, to which Tenten waved back but stopped to look at Naruto's change of clothes for a second. The two genins hopped off the tree and Tenten said to Naruto once she landed, "What exactly happened here? And what happened to Sasuke and Sakura? Are those the kids that attacked Kabuto-san back at the academy?" "Hi," Naruto answered, "We haven't been faring very well since we got here. We were first attacked by this genin who turned out to be some S-rank nuke nin, and I got separated from these two when he attacked us. Sasuke received some sort of hickey from the creepy nuke nin. After that, I really don't know what happened to them. I just arrived to find them unconscious, with those three genins dead or unconscious, I think. I'm guessing Sasuke killed that one with a strong fire-style jutsu, since that's one of his affinities." Neji, who didn't buy anything Naruto said, narrowed his pale Byakugan eyes and said to Naruto while walking up to him, "You appear to have some sort of genjutsu cloaking your entire figure, Uzumaki-san. But I do not care, as that is your concern and not mine. We are here for Lee, and that is all. Although next time we cross paths, we will engage in battle for your scroll whether your teammates are conscious to battle or not." Tenten sighed at Neji's behavior and picked up the sleeping form of Leon to her shoulders. "For what's worth, I hope you survive this round, Naruto-san. If you are looking for a heaven scroll, we saw Tenten. We are not helping anyone in this part of the exams, even if they are Konoha ninja," said Nenji, with Tenten eye-rolling at her teammates' glare, but followed suit as Neji hopped off north, leaving Naruto and his clones behind. "Well, that better than I expected. You too. We need to get to the nearest cave and take a quick rest for a bit. I need to do a memory-erasing jutsu on them to make sure they don't go yelling to the council that I hurt them, or I have some sort of new power and jutsu that I don't deserve and needs to be handed over to Sasuke. The last thing I need is for those two to make my time here more unbearable than it already is," said Naruto, getting a nod from the two clones. With that said, Naruto hopped out of the area in search of a place to rest and hide, with the two clones following behind. A day later, afternoon. "That should do it. -1 problem for now at least, said Naruto. The team of 3 were currently sitting inside an open cave with Sakura and Sasuke still unconscious with seal arrays that were written on their foreheads flashing white before they vanished, leaving no trace of ink on their skin. Both Sasuke and Sakura slowly opened their eyes to see Naruto sitting near a fire eating fried fish, and Sakura quickly got up as she pointed at Naruto and once again screeched, "Naruto baka! Where the hell have you been? Where the hell are we? You weren't supposed to survive that attack by the snake ninja, dope. I saw you get blown away like the pathetic waste of space you are," said Sasuke with a smug look on his face. But he did not getting any reaction from Naruto, who replied as he finished his fish, "Swallows food, you're right. I was blown away, but I didn't die from a simple C-ranked wind jutsu. I safely landed on my back and then I had to wake up and fight my way out of a big hungry snake before it would digest me whole. After that, I tried finding you too, but I somehow couldn't sense Sasuke's chakra signature as it changed for a short while, and obviously Sakura's chakra signature is non-existent. I did however find both a heaven and earth scroll on my way to finding you two sleeping out in the open like pieces of meat waiting to be devoured by the predators of this forest. That's a lie, Naruto baka. Sasuke-kun must have slipped those scrolls into your pocket before he had to fight that creepy snake man. He must have got us both into this cave to save me from the danger of this forest and protect me from the other genin that wanted to take me away from him. Hearts and eyes, said Sakura, getting a large sweat drop from Naruto, who thought to himself, I'm beginning to think fangirls are an entire different species to humans if she actually believes all that crap. Sasuke stood up from where he was resting and spoke to his teammates. Since we have both scrolls, we need to head to the tower immediately without attracting any attention to the other genin out there. I don't want to spend another second in this disgusting forest any longer than I already need to. Sakura, being the person she is, formed hearts and eyes again as she squealed in delight of hearing Sasuke speak, but the mood vanished as soon as Naruto responded to Sasuke's statement. By the way, that hickey on your neck needs to get checked out by the Sandaime whether you like it or not. When we get there, I don't want to be anywhere near the both of you until we are ordered to. Now let's move already. I don't want to save your constipated asses again. Naruto, Sakura and Sasuke luckily arrived without any trouble on the way, and they were now standing in front of what appears to be two large hands forming a ninja sign. I think we should open the scrolls now since the rule was to never open the scrolls until we arrive at the tower, said Naruto as he took out the scrolls, but was stopped by Sakura, who said to him, and you said we should listen to you, Naruto baka? Sasuke-kun is the smartest in our team, so he should decide what we should do. Naruto was about to speak, but stopped himself, then tossed the scrolls to Sasuke, who caught them, then unrolled both of the scrolls at the same time. The scrolls flashed white, and Sasuke quickly threw the scrolls to the ground. Poof! Iruka Umino, dressed in the standard Chunin attire with his hair tied into a pineapple fashion, appeared from a cloud of smoke and looked to see Naruto, Sakura and Sasuke standing before him, causing him to smile as he said to the team of 3, congratulations, Team 7. You have passed the second stage of the Chunin exams, and you somehow don't appear to be having any injuries or casualties at all. I'm very proud of you 3. I know, Iruka-sensei, we were attacked by some genin who turns out to be the S-rank missing. Shut up, Doe. As I was saying, the S-ranked missing ninja of Konoha, also known to be one of the 3 Sannin, Orochimaru. I don't really know what happened since I got separated from the team when he attacked us with a wind-style jutsu, but Sasuke appears to have the same mark Anko Mitarashi has, said Naruto, getting a heated glare from both Sasuke and Sakura which he easily ignored, and Iruka eye widened at what Naruto told him but soon changed his expression of shock to seriousness as he replied, this is a serious matter that needs to be reported to the Hokage as soon as possible. Sasuke, you will come with me as that seal on your neck needs to be checked if it is what it is. Naruto, Sakura, the 2 of you can head on upstairs and pick out whatever rooms you want. You have the rest of the 4 days to rest and relax before the Hokage calls everyone to the arena for an announcement. Before Sasuke could refuse, Iruka placed his right hand on Sasuke's shoulder, then the both of them left in a puff of smoke. Sakura turned to Naruto only to see he already left without even saying word, and screamed in anger of her blonde teammate ruining her chances of sharing a bed with her precious Sasuke-kun so that she could help him recover from getting such a nasty hickey from that evil little snake man, as it was all Naruto's fault that Sasuke has it. Back with Jashin. Okay. I cleaned up some of the parts of the temple, updated the library, refurnished the supplies, made all sort of clothes for my master, and I finally washed all my clothes. Now what should I do? Here we find the goddess of blood and destruction standing in a gold-plated tiled kitchen dressed in a white dress with a black neck collar around her neck, and the dress and collar in the cover, still not wearing any shoes whatsoever, and tapped her chin with the index finger of her right hand as she began to think of something to do. Her red pupilless orbs widened in delight as an idea came to her mind and said out loud to herself, I know what to do. I should call my cousin. I need to make arrangements of when I can get the temple out of this shithole, and now is the best time since I know she really isn't doing anything with herself. Deadpan, actually that bitch never does anything. All she ever does is wander about in that damn infinite dimension Kachan made for her, and complains that Big Red has taken away the silence she so rightfully deserves and needs. Sweat drop. I have got to get that bitch a hobby before she turns into a mindless robot or something. With that said, Jashin bit her thumb and began to write all sorts of different symbols in a circle with an 8-pointed star in the center of the room. Once she was done, she took a step back just as soon as the drawings flashed white with a blinding light appearing as the kitchen began to shake slightly. The light disappeared, showing a cute little girl having the same height as Jashin, and this girl has long black hair reaching down her hips and gorgeous gray eyes that complements her gothic Lolita clothing. The girl first had a look of confusion on her face, but it soon changed when she spotted a crazy grinning Jashin standing before her, causing her expression to change to one of boredom as she spoke with a monotone voice. Jashin, my favorite cousin. It's so nice to see you after the past 4,000 years I saw you. Who have you be? The girl was interrupted by Jashin, who ran up to her and hugged her warmly as Jashin wrapped arms around the gothic Loli's neck and said, Ophi, I missed you so much. You have no idea what happened to me. Come, I must tell you everything from the start, and tell you some good news. Without even bothering to fight or struggle, the little girl known as Ophis allowed herself to be dragged into another room while still having a look of boredom across her face, which Jashin saw but either didn't mind it or ignored it, as she was too ecstatic from being reunited with her cousin Ophis. Some time later, and that's all of it. Crazy stuff, right? But hey, at least I finally have a master I can happily serve, and I know Kasama and Tuchan couldn't be happier too. Jashin and Ophis were now sitting inside a room that has the same gold tiles of the kitchen but white walls with a white ceiling that has the symbol of the Uzumaki clan in red paint. The room only has a chandelier that is lit with white candles and a small royal carpet that both Ophis and Jashin were seating on as the both of them were drinking black tea in small black teacups. Ophis took a sip of her tea, then placed the cup on its saucer as she spoke to her gray-haired cousin. It really is quite the story that is impossible to believe, but at the same time, it's not that hard to understand why your mother chose to keep you hidden from your half-brothers. Unfortunately though, the sage already knows about you. Jashin slightly widened at this as she responded to Ophis' statement. Really? How did he know? You didn't tell him, did you? No, said Ophis, while you were sleeping. A lot of things have happened in heaven and hell and other dimensions linked to all the worlds of humanity. For starters, your mother's chosen second, Genryosai Shikiguni Yamamoto, came into power and claimed the title as the Christian god who will rule the heavens of this world along with the others too. Your chosen second, Tia Haribel, also did the same as she became the queen deity of the underworld and ruler of the 9 rings of hell. But however, a lot of things began to unfold. Factions were created, a war started and was seized when she got sealed into a prison dimension made by the current Christian god Yamamoto, and now hell has become more of a place overpopulated with what is called clans in this world. Your many worshippers went into hiding after Haribel got sealed away. Your son Alucard has disappeared, and Yamamoto has been trying to find all your worshippers and have them executed with the use of your father's holy chains ever since. When he came into contact with your brother Hagoromo, he told him everything about you and asked for his aid in the hopes that once you are to wake up from your slumber and be found, Hagoromo will be the one to help him in sealing you into that dimension where she is. But KK. Clearly I have been missing out on a lot of shit. Sigh. And after all this time I tried to warn Kasama about Yamabaka, she still wouldn't listen to me. Now, a literal hot-headed little boy with a long gray beard who thinks he's the wisest man in all existence, and always knows best, is running my precious mother's afterlife and claims my father's honorable title which doesn't belong to him. Not only that, but he did other fucked up shit that wasn't even supposed to happen, and I have my stupid Ototo to worry about since Yamamoto has already told him who I am, what I do and what kind of a threat I am to humanity. I really did miss out. Say, Ophi-chan, do you currently know where my Ototo could be? Ophis shook her head and replied his location is non-existent as he has been time-traveling through people who bear chakra from time to time. He has been searching for you for the past 1,000 years and I hear he still hasn't found you, but I still don't know why he wants to find you. Your master, what did you say his name was? Naruto. Naruto Uzumaki. Why do you ask? Said Jashin, noticing a slight change of expression on Ophis' face that quickly vanished before it changed back to a stoic expression. Your master is a very important person in this world, and because of the fact that he discovered you, it means a high number of things are about to change in your favor, of course. By the way, why did you summon me? I widens and slaps forehead. Ugh. Old age is really starting to mess with me here anyway. I sort of need your help to get this temple out of its current location. Kasama buried me in the temple 60 feet into the ground to make sure no one like Hagoromo, Hamura, or the other Otsutsuki members would find me and her belongings. My master, who is now the rightful owner of this temple, has no apparent place to live and that could suit him perfectly, so I am planning on getting this temple out of here and in a clear space that he can gladly get to instead of always having to teleport himself into this stupid deep hole. Of course a favor comes with another favor. Susa, go ahead and name your price. Cousin. Ophis kept silent for a minute as she gained a thoughtful expression, causing Jashin to raise an eyebrow in wonder of what Ophis was thinking of as she thought to herself. The last time she called me for a favor, it was to massacre the dragon hunters that invaded her dimension. I really don't know how Red got in there in the first place, but I doubt whatever she's going to ask is about getting Red out of the dimension. Your master is a person I have been watching ever since he was born. I have grown quite attached to him as he is the only thing, putting aside you, that could make me feel emotions again. The favor I ask of you is that you allow me to be a part of his life as one of his wives or slaves if he chooses so, and I shall promise to leave the dimension to Red and stay by Uzumaki-kun's side just as you will do so, Jashin. I understand that your mother will now be watching over him and protecting him from beyond her prison until that time comes? Well, I will go to the Devil faction and Fallen Angel faction to tell them that you have awakened and you have a permanent master who you shall lovingly serve, and of course make sure that they never let a single angel or soul know about this, as that would cause worse problems for him and this world. The leader of the Fallen Angels will send 2 of his Sodders to help guard and protect Uzumaki-kun for a short time, and I know the Gremory family will try their best to contact their heiress to find you as soon as possible. Well, you have definitely caught me by surprise with this one. This definitely is the most surprising thing I have ever heard in my time. Jashin tried to read Ophi's eyes and body language to see if she was only joking about the favor she is asking her, and found nothing leading the gray-haired lowly goddess to believe that Ophis is being completely honest on the favor. Jashin kept quiet for a short while, then spoke again with a smirk planted on her face with her eyes glistening from the fire of the candles. I shall do you the favor you so humbly ask for, Ophi-chan. But remember that there are no take-backs once I do you this favor, Narrow's eyes. I am fully aware of that, as I hold no second thoughts over the favor. Now, what are you planning to do about Yamamoto and your half-brother Hagoromo? The angels I know you can manage easily, but those 2 are extremely problematic, even for the likes of you, Jashin. If word gets out about Uzumaki-kun being your master and caretaker, there is no telling what they will do to him in order to get to you. Tia is sealed in a dimension I can't seem to find, meaning she is mostly likely in the same place she is in. But I will restart my search for her as soon as I can if you allow me to, said Ophis. Jashin's smirk only widened more as she said to Ophis, I already have something planned for those 2. You just let me deal with them on my own for now, Kuz. Go ahead and get Tia-chan out of whatever prison she's in. A kingdom without a ruler is a rodeo, and a rodeo implies a house of madness. I can tolerate destruction, but chaos is one thing I don't need in my afterlife. 4 days later, Konohagakure no Sato, Forest of Death, the tower. It has been 4 days since Team 7 arrived to the tower, and not a lot of things have happened since then. Sasuke was released a day later from the INT department after they evaluated his seal problem, and it was confirmed that he has the curse mark of heaven given to him by Orochimaru, who is yet to be found and arrested then executed, of course. The Sandaime already called for Jiraiya the Toad Sage, and he had arrived to see if there was anything he could do to temporarily stop the curse seal from affecting Sasuke for the time period. Upon inspection of the seal, the Toad Sage discovered that there already was another seal keeping the venomous chakra and the presence of Orochimaru at bay, and this caused confusion amongst the Sandaime and Jiraiya, who both tried to figure out how it got there or who placed it on the Uchiha in the first place, as nobody from the INT department says he or she is responsible for it during Sasuke's evaluation at that place. Naruto was asked by the Sandaime if he saw anyone place a seal on Sasuke during the time they were in the Forest of Death, and replied that he found him like this after he got separated from the team during the attack. Jiraiya concluded that whoever made the seal must have been a seal master, seeing as this particular seal is made by the Uzumaki clan when compared to other seals he has seen before. At first they both thought that Orochimaru must have placed it on him in order for anyone not to tamper with the seal, but knew that he wouldn't do that, as the whole point of the seal is to infect the one who bears the seal and corrupt him into being more and more dependent on it. The investigation was held off until the end of the Chunin exams, but for now though, Naruto was told to explain his side of the story of what happened to him during the second part of the exam, seeing as he didn't finish his report on what he encountered during the time Orochimaru attacked his teammates. Back to the present. Here we find one Naruto Uzumaki sitting on the edge of the bed of the room he checked himself into, and was calmly meditating as the silence within the room kept him in tune. He could feel himself being pulled somewhere within himself, but at the same time, he felt as if something was trying to call out to him in a different place other than his mindscape that housed the QB. He tried to listen to the voice, but he couldn't, as he was disturbed by the door of his room opening, showing one Anko Mitarashi grinning from ear to ear, dressed in her usual attire of the INT department torture specialists. The grin left her face for a moment when she saw Naruto's eyes being a gloss black with 3 white rings inside the iris, but they changed back to its beautiful ocean blue at the blink of his eyes, causing her to be confused for a moment, but shrugged it off as something she must have imagined. Naruto looked up to the door and saw Anko, and groaned as he said to the Tokubetsu Jounin Nahu boy, "What did I do to get your attention this time, Anko-san?" "I said I was sorry for what I said at the gate and for trying to steal the scroll." "Calm down, Gaki. I'm just here to come and get you since the Haruno Tranny and the Uchiha have already arrived at the arena without you. Now get your shit together and come with me quickly. The prelims are about start soon," said Anko, getting a sigh of relief from Naruto, who got up from the edge of the bed and left the room as he closed the door behind him and followed Anko to wherever she was taking him. "Hey Gaki, mind telling me what's up with the change of clothes? Last I saw you, you were wearing that ugly jumpsuit that old man gave you when you were a kid. Did you steal them from a genin in the forest? I guess you can say I finally realized that even though those clothes were a gift to me, they would have been the death of me if I didn't stop wearing them soon. I got these clothes from a Kumo nin in the forest that died in the last Chunin exams that happened last year. Pretty sweet, huh?" said Naruto, getting a hesitant nod from Anko, seeing that Naruto wasn't really telling the truth but left it for later to ask him the truth. Then she looked left at and right first and looked over to Naruto with a serious expression as she said to him, I heard what happened to the Uchiha. Is it true that Orochimaru is here? Hi Demo. I don't really know why he would do that to the Uchiha. You have an idea why? Sai, promise not to tell what I'm about to show you, said Anko. Naruto to raise his right eyebrow in question, but nodded in agreement, waiting for Anko to show him something. The two stopped midway to their destination, and Anko titled her head to the side and pushed off the trench coat she was wearing off her shoulders to reveal the same mark Sasuke bears, causing Naruto to eye widen as Anko said to him, As you know, I got this when I was a kid. I was one of the kids that left with Orochimaru when he was caught experimenting on kids with the cells of the first Hokage and for the other horrible stuff he did. I've had this annoying piece of garbage ever since. Anko-san was what Naruto said as he gained a look of worry at seeing the mark and noticed Anko's frown. Why are you telling me this? Anko stood up straight and fixed the trench coat, then gave Naruto a grin as she said, Because I already know you're the one who placed that other seal on the Uchiha, you big dummy. Call it a hunch, but I know that seal from my own first sensei when I was still a genin. Naruto eye widened at this and was silent for the whole trip to their destination, thinking to himself about how Anko could come to such a conclusion of him being the suspected seal master. Once they reached their intended destination, Naruto found himself in some sort of arena where everyone is saved for the Jounin instructors of each genin team and the Hokage. And he quickly caught sight of Sakura and Sasuke standing together as Sakura tried to make an effort to cling to Sasuke's right arm only for him to step away from the pink-haired banshee and side-glance to her to get away from him. Once he got to them, he looked up to see the Sandaime now standing before them on a higher platform, to which everyone kept quiet and listened to what he had to say. Congratulations to all of you that have passed the second part of the Chunin exams. I understand that your time in the Forest of Death must have been a very difficult time, as I can see that some of you have only arrived this very day. Over the years of the Chunin exams happening here, Konoha's second stage of the Chunin exams has received its fair share of criticism due to the fact that not many genin could survive even 2 days inside this very forest itself. The entire point of that part of the Chunin exams is to give Chunin hopefuls the required experience to know how to survive when sent on either team-based assassination missions or solo retrieval missions that would require stealth and self-sustainability for long periods of time when entering enemy territory. I do, however, understand that most of you standing before me must have went through your very first kill inside the forest, and that experience will sure take some time to pass. Demo, it is highly necessary to go through such a hard task, as this will pave your path to understand the many sacrifices and choices that come with being a Chunin in no matter what village you come from. Moving right along, due to the high number of people that passed the second part of the Chunin exams, a preliminary round shall now be held in order to slim down the number of people who shall progress into the final part of the Chunin exams. But we just got here, said Kiba, getting a glare from Anko, who said to the young Inuzuka, Well, tough luck, Gaki. I told you the rules of the second stage of the Chunin exams when you and your team arrived at the gates and entered this forest. If you want to wooz out, then go ahead, no one is stopping you. But your team will follow you out of here. Kiba growled at Anko's statement, but avoided her gaze while glaring to the floor, with Akamaru whimpering as he too was tired from all the running, fighting and scavenging for scrolls and food for the past 7 days being in the Forest of Death. Shino, who was standing beside him along with a timid and tired Hinata who looked worse for wear, said to his teammate, I have already told you the very moment we entered that we shouldn't go about wandering and exploring unknown territory, as that would cause us to lose track of time, and possibly each other. It was my parasitic insects that found both you and Hinata-san yesterday, and had it not been for Rock Lee-san seeing you and Akamaru nearly being devoured by the predators you attracted, you know very well you wouldn't be standing here with us. Whatever, Shino. It's not like we didn't fail the test, or did we? Was what Kiba said, and didn't get a reply from Shino but a shook of the head from Hinata. Back with the Sandaime Hokage, the self-proclaimed professor cleared his throat to get the attention of the crowd before him, and continued, If anyone here would like to leave the arena and not take part in the preliminary exams, please raise your hand. You must know, however, that if you leave now, your team will also follow you back, causing you to automatically fail the whole team in the process. The Sandaime looked to see if anyone would raise their hand, and saw one Kabuto Yakushi, and correct me if I'm wrong on his surname, raise his hand and said that he was too tired to fight and would like to retake the exams next year, with his team nodding in agreement with him. The Sandaime nodded, allowing Kabuto to leave, but did not see the glance he passed to the male Jounin sensei of the Odo team, who looked back to Kabuto and smirked. Just as the Sandaime was about to continue speaking, a sickly-looking Jounin stepped up to him and said, Let me take it from here, Hokage-sama. The Sandaime kept quiet for a moment to think about the sickly Jounin's request, but nodded as he sat back down on his chair, and the Jounin stepped forward as he said to the crowd before him, My name is Hate Gecko, and I will be the proctor of the preliminary round that will decide the participants of the final part of the Chunin exams. How this works is, the big screen on your right will choose 2 names at random of who will fight to secure their spot in the finals. The match will either be won by defeating your opponent and knocking him or her out, or killing them, or forfeiting if the needs be. However, if I deem the match to end, then it will end no matter what happens, cough. Now if your name does not, cough, appear on the screen, please make your, cough, way to the viewing platforms where your respective, cough, Jounin instructors are. The big screen on the right-hand side of the arena flashed Sasuke Uchiha vs Orochimaru, and everyone whose names did not appear on the screen moved up to the viewing platforms, leaving one Sasuke Uchiha, and Orochimaru, who said to Sasuke, "Let's just get this match over with. I don't want to waste my time fighting deadweight like you. Your blonde teammate looks more threatening than you if you asked me." Sasuke's eyebrow twitched at Yoyo's statement, but smirked as he said to him, "You dare compare me to clanless trash like the Dobe and say he is better than me? I will make you eat those words fast, and I'll have you regret to ever look down an Uchiha elite such as myself." "I told you I would make you eat those words," said Sasuke as he was now standing over a bruised and knocked out Yoroi. Hate checked to see if Yoroi was still conscious, then stood up as he said, "Winner, Sasuke Uchiha." The Uchiha smirked to himself, expecting an applause by everyone in the crowd up above him, but only got a very small applause by very few people, with one loud screeching squeal by a certain pink-haired banshee screaming cheers for him that annoyed mostly everyone close to her. He looked over to Naruto to see he didn't even pay attention to his match and was having a casual conversion with Kakashi Hatake, causing the duck-but-haired Uchiha to fume and go up the stairs to stand with his team. The screen once again flashed and showed Shino Aburame vs Kidameru. Shino, getting a few words of good luck from Hinata and his Jounin instructor Kurenai Yuhi, then walked down to the arena and waited for his opponent to show up. A kid with 6 arms dressed in very familiar clothing wearing a Otogekure headband hopped off the viewing platform, and got different gazes from the crowd such as shock, suspicion, wonder and total disgust from his extra appendages. "Ibiki, that kid has an aura around him that I really hate right now," said Anko, her eyes narrowed at the 6-armed kid facing Shino. Ibiki, who was standing beside her, placed his arms on the steel bar of the platform keeping people from falling, and replied to Anko in a low tone, "That kid I didn't see back the academy. Did you see him at the gates of the forest?" "Yeah, I did, but I didn't exactly see what kind of headband he had on." "What are you thinking, Ibiki?" Ibiki kept silent for a moment, then responded to Anko's question, "Nothing. Demo, the Uzumaki kid, he has some sort of genjutsu cloaking him, and I can sense him suppressing his chakra a lot." "Did Kakashi really train him that much?" "I don't know," said Anko, "but he probably applied the genjutsu over himself for reasons Kakashi and the Hokage should know of." Back at the arena, Hate looked at both of the genin, then shouted Hajime, before he jumped back from them, "An Aburame, huh? You aren't the first one I fought before, and by the looks of your small reserves and how many insects you have on you, you won't even be able to last longer than a minute with me." "Smirks," said Kidameru, but got no response from Shino, who raised his arms as the parasitic insects came out from the baggy sleeves of his coat. Kidameru saw what he was doing, and smirked again as he ran up to the Aburame and engaged in a taijutsu battle that was rather one-sided. Shino kept on taking hits from the 6-armed Oto Nin, but also got to hit back a couple of times even though it didn't do much damage to the 6-armed Oto Genin. With one kick to the right hip, Kidameru stumbled back as he held his hip in pain and locked down to his feet to see Shino's parasitic insects now crawling their way up to him. "Really? This is too easy. Here I am thinking that maybe you would be more of a challenge by knowing more about what your insects could do, but clearly your clan doesn't trust you enough with that knowledge." Begins to chew something inside his mouth and spits out quickly. Kidameru spits out what appears to be a large web, which then flies over to Shino and trap him to the wall. Kidameru stood there for a moment as the pores on his skin slowly began to excrete some sort of golden sticky liquid, and in under a matter of seconds, his entire form was now covered by the liquid, acting as armor with the now dead parasitic insects dying fast and fall of his skin. He hopped into the sky and spat out small spears that went flying towards Shino, who nearly got stabbed by them had it not been for all his insects eating through the webs, saving him from being a pincushion. Once he got out of the web-like trap, he desperately took out some kunai and threw them at Kidameru, who landed far from him, only for the weapons to bounce right off the armor. In the stands, Kurenai Yuhi began to fear for her student's life as she began to slowly see that if such an attack like the web Kidameru created could once again trap Shino, it was less likely to believe he would be able to escape a second time. "Shino doesn't look like he'll have a chance against this guy," said Shikamaru, who got looks of confusion from Kurenai, and Ino, who asked to her fellow Nara teammate, "Why do you say that?" "Shino's bugs ate through the webs, which means they must have chakra inside them, and if anything, I think that sticky disgusting stuff on that kid's skin is also made of chakra too." Asuma, who was standing behind his students, said to Ino, answering her question, that armor he made protects him from any sort of weapon and it could possibly make him invincible against taijutsu fighters. The Aburame kid has low Chunin reserves while that kid's has mid-Jounin reserves, which is more fine-tuned and in control by the way he seems to be controlling the chakra coursing inside the armor on his skin. This means that his armor will be too thick for the Aburame's ants to eat through, considering how much chakra he puts into the armor. But he does have a shot at winning this because of the Oto kid's constant talking during the fighting, meaning he is underestimating the Aburame kid a lot. As Shino-kun said, a worrying Hinata who looked on at her teammate fighting the sound genin. Kidamura cackled darkly as he ran to Shino in Chunin speeds and once again engaged in a taijutsu fight that was once again one-sided as Shino desperately dodged all of his attacks and got to a safe distance from Kidamaru only to land into another web trap once again that enclosed his entire figure from the neck down. The six-armed Kidamaru slowly walked up to his prey while making a sword from chewing the liquid inside his mouth, and said to the trapped Shino, "You're not even worth the effort. I'll go ahead and I forfeit, Proctor-san, as my parasitic insects cannot eat through this web fast enough," said Shino, causing Hate to hop down to the arena and shout winner by forfeit, Kidamaru. Kidamaru grunted in annoyance of Shino's forfeiting, but one glance from his Jounin instructor made him release Shino from the web trap and the liquid on his skin was gone just as he took the stairs up and stood beside Dosu and Kin. Shino followed, and once he got to Hinata and Kiba, his Jounin sensei gave him a reassuring hand and said to him, "You can always take the next Chunin exams in Kirigakyu no Sato. You've made a good decision by forfeiting, Shino." "I am perfectly fine, Kurenai sensei, as there is no need to worry about my state of mind on losing these exams," said Shino, though I do question his statement of fighting one of my fellow clansmen before me. "Also, I did not see him at the Shinobi Academy when we took the first part of the Chunin exams." Kiba snorted and said to Shino, "Does it matter if you didn't see him?" The next 6 matches were rather many things to describe. With the fight between Kin and Shikamaru, it seemed as if Kin was rather not 100% due to the anal blowing technique she suffered at the hands of Naruto. Shikamaru won the match by knocking Kin out, which was to be expected of the Nara to see through her genjutsu. The fight between Niji and Hinata seemed like more of a personal nature as Naruto could see from the start that Niji fought with the main intent to kill the timid heiress of the Hyuga clan. But he won the match by disqualification when Mato Gai and Asuma held him back from delivering a killing blow to the shy and timid Hinata, who looked like she would need serious medical attention or else she would die from punctured organs and internal bleeding. The fight between Ino and Sakura was one-sided to say the least. Ino, although she had low genin reserves, totally dominated the match with her mind transfer jutsu. Sakura was just throwing her kunai and shuriken everywhere, then exhausted herself when she attempted to create a simple clone that looked more sickly than Hade himself. Seriously, the clone looked like you could just blow it away once you crack open a window or something. With Tenten and Temari's match, he guessed that Tenten wouldn't be able to win seeing as she is more of a weapon specialist and a long-range fighter, and Temari is a wind jutsu specialist, making any sort of weapon Tenten could use in the fight useless. There were close calls when Tenten would have won the match, but the Suna Kunoichi had used her giant fan multiple times to get herself out of a bad situation she would find herself in. Thus she became the winner of the match by knocking Tenten out cold. The match between the makeup-wearing Kankuro no Suna against Misumi Tsurugi definitely was a learning experience for Naruto to see the use of puppets in battle firsthand. The match was a little one-sided, but Misumi did hold his own for a while before he was defeated by Kankuro and his wooden puppet. As for Chuji and Dosu, the match was sort of a little funny at the very end, but Chuji did manage to put up a fight even though he lost in the end. Now we find the big screen of the arena flashing Naruto Uzumaki vs Kiba Inuzuka, and a loud Yahoo! And Burke could be heard on the other side of the arena. Before Naruto could walk down the stairs, he felt a hand on his right shoulder and turned to see Kakashi giving him an eye smile while saying, "Do you best, Naruto. Become the unpredictable ninja you always are with this match." "But trust me, Kakashi-sensei, I intend to," said Naruto, getting Kakashi to raise his right eyebrow at Naruto's fox-like grin that told him something about Naruto's statement being literal instead of just figurative talking. Naruto got down to the arena, and as soon as both genin arrived, Hate shouted Hajime, and hopped away from the two Konoha genin. Kiba and his Nikken companion Akamaru got into a fight stance, and smirked when he saw Naruto just standing there with his hands in his pockets. "What's wrong, Dobe? Afraid me and Akamaru are gonna kick your joke of an ass to the curve?" Naruto remained silent with a stoic expression planted on his face, then started to chuckle, which soon turned into full-blown laughter that confused the crowd but mostly ticked off Kiba, who growled at Naruto's laughing. Naruto stopped laughing with a few breaths and replied to a fuming Kiba, "Actually no. I actually think you're not even worthy for what's about to happen." "And just what are you talking about, you blonde idiot?" said Kiba with Akamaru growling. Naruto, who took his hands out of his pockets, then folded his arms and finished this. In just a split second, Naruto was enveloped by white chakra forming a circle around him, then shooting up into the ceiling of the large room, casing large cracks as dust began to pick from the wind made by the chakra swirling around Naruto. Enko, Kakashi, Asuma, Kurenai, Gai and the Hokage all eye widened at the sudden spike of Naruto's reserves going from mid-Chunin to a very high Kage level, and sensed a large amount of chakra flowing separately through his hands and another large amount flowing into his eyes. The Oto Jounin instructor sat up from his seat the minute he sensed the genjutsu enclosing Naruto, and further eye widened when his chakra spiked to an all-new high. He focused more onto Naruto's face and could sense a bijou amount of chakra passing into his eyes, then gasped in surprise when he saw Naruto's eyelids open to reveal they have now changed from their normal ocean blue to a new gloss black with 3 white rings inside the iris surrounding the pupils. Amazing, why didn't I know of this before? Was what the Jounin instructor said as his eyes flashed to a gold with black slits for a split second. Kakashi, what are teaching this kid? And how in the hell does he have a Dijitsu? That high-level amount of chakra coursing through his eyes is just too much to be just an increase in eyesight, as even his eyes have changed color and gained some strange Sharingan-like circles, said Asuma, only to get no reaction from a shocked Kakashi, who responded, I actually didn't teach him to do that with his hands, expand his reserves like that or get him those eyes, I swear. I think Kakashi is telling the truth, Asuma said. Guy, his student has seemed to be releasing such beautiful flames of youth of which would take years for Kakashi to teach him increasing and maintaining, and the color of his chakra is not the usual blue of a human being. Those eyes are also a new development. With Anko, the purple-haired torture specialist was looking on at Naruto as she said to herself, was he hiding this from me all this time? I knew he was more stronger than he lets on the moment I saw him back at his room with the genjutsu cloaking him, but just how strong he is what I didn't know. Why would he choose to hide this from me of all people? Anko looked to her left to see Ino now standing beside her, saying that other seal on Sasuke? He put it there. And those sound ninja over there were the first to experience just how strong Naruto-kun is. He created a sword with his left hand and did some fire and wind combination jutsu on one of them. He said the jutsu is S rank. No shit, said Anko. The Sandaime Hokage was having his own thoughts about Naruto's sudden change, but was interrupted by Ibiki, who said, Hokage-sama, is it natural for a Jinchuriki to have those reserves and this unknown type of chakra? The Sandaime gave a negative shook of the head and replied to Ibiki, Mito-sama had reserves higher than my own before she became the Shodaime Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi. Kushina-chan trained for 3 to 7 years on how to use the Kyuubi's chakra that came with her coils, further expanding to hold a low Kage reserve of chakra, but this is not normal by any standards. Kakashi gave me a report on Naruto-kun's current progress in his private training, and what I am seeing now does not match up to it even in the least bit. Especially that chakra. It isn't the venomous bijou chakra that is red, nor is it the normal blue of a human being. I have never seen anything like it before. Back to the arena, the white chakra vanished, leaving Naruto, who now has the Kenji marks for yin and yang on his hands and his eyes permanently changing to its new color and shape. Kiba, who was shaken by Naruto's transmission, cracked a fake smirk as he said, Ha! As if that little genjutsu you just put up would scar me. The eyes and the tattoos are a nice little addition to your genjutsu, Naruto. Nice try, but me and Akamaru can smell through smoke and mirrors. What has happened is not a genjutsu, Kiba-san. It was all real, was what one Rock Lee shouted, causing Kiba's smirk to fall a little, with Akamaru giving a small whimper. Oi Kiba. Do us a favor and make your move before I move you out of consciousness. Make sure you come at me with the intent to kill, as I want nothing less to prove just how wrong you are about me being a dobe now, said Naruto, getting a growl from an infuriated Kiba, who did a hand sign and said, man beast clone. Akamaru, through a puff of smoke, transformed into a carbon copy of Kiba, and the two hopped off into the air, then flew straight towards Naruto, swaying and swaying in mid-air until they became spinning drills going for the target, which is Naruto. Once Kiba was close enough, Naruto sidestepped the attack and stopped Kiba's spinning by grabbing the young Inuzuka by the collar of his jacket and the tip of his pants, then threw him over to the wall, with Kiba going through it headfirst with only his lower body hanging lifeless as his upper body was stuck inside the wall of the arena. The crowd was stunned to silence at Naruto literally making short work of Kiba, but Kakashi sighed as he thought to himself, note to self, stop trying to expect something from Naruto or try to predict him. It's a complete bad idea and a stain to my eyelids from constant eye whitening. One homosexual genin with a hairstyle shaped like the foul end of a duck was fuming badly as he was having his own thoughts. The dobe, where did he get that kind of power? I have been hearing about him being trained by Hatake, but I don't believe this stupid jounin could teach him to do that. Those eyes, he never had those eyes before. I will demand answers from him, then get the pathetic civilian council to use their political power on Naruto to get him to give me that power and his eyes. It's mine and only I deserve such power. Besides him was Sakura, thinking the same thing along the lines, but added with images of Sasuke doing some other things the author would not want to get into typing down for the readers to see. Or do you want him to type it down? Good. Back with Naruto, he looked down to a now scared Akamaru, who transformed back into his original form, and Naruto squatted down to the Niken and said, you want to try something, Akamaru? The Niken whimpered and shook it slowly, to which Naruto smiled and brushed the dog's head and said, good boy. Don't worry about Kiba. Your partner will be fine. Naruto turned to Hate and said to him, hey Proctor-san, call the match already. You can see for yourself that Kiba won't be getting up anytime soon. And don't worry about him, he's not dead, he's just stuck and out cold. I didn't throw him that hard. By now, Kurenai was completely speechless at the event that happened before her very crimson eyes. At first, she also believed that Naruto was actually going to lose the match, considering his academy records along with his small chakra control that Kakashi was still training him in, and the only good jutsu he knew that could help him defend himself was just a wind style. beast-tearing palm and few B-rank fire jutsu that Kiba could easily avoid and counter however. She now realizes just how wrong it was for her to underestimate someone who has been giving the title Konoha's most unpredictable ninja. I felt to being arrogant and forward about him. I should have told Kiba to take him seriously instead of toying with his emotions was what Kurenai said, but was reassured by Shino who said to her in a professional analysis, Kurenai-sensei, even if you did tell Kiba-san to be more focused and put his clan's pride aside, he still wouldn't listen seeing as he still believes, or believed, that Naruto-san will always be inferior to him. Kiba was pulled out the wall and taken away by medics with Akamaru accompanying him to the hospital, and Naruto walked up the stairs and rejoined his Jounin-sensei who gave Naruto a tired look and said, Sai, should I even bother to ask what happened to you and why did you hide all of this from me? Kakashi Sensei, you know very well that I'm not a secretive person. All of this happened to me when I was in the forest, and I promised to explain it all to you when I go to the Sandaime. About this before Kakashi could speak again, he was interrupted by Anko who came up to him and Naruto and grabbed the blonde Uzumaki by the shirt and spoke to him with a killer intent-infused glare. What the fuck was that, Gaki? Why did you hide all that from me? Though you, Anko-san, like I told Kakashi-sensei, I am not a person of secrets, and you know me very well to see when I am hiding something and I would tell you eventually like I always do. This transmission happened to me when I was still in the forest, and I promised to tell you and Kakashi-sensei everything as soon as I go to the Sandaime Hokage. I promise. Hey Dobe, said Sasuke interrupting Naruto, I don't care whether you will tell the Hokage first or not. All that power you displayed down there is not yours and you don't deserve it. I know about Hatake training you secretly to not make you embarrass me out on missions, but all of this? This isn't you and it never will be, so tell me now where you got all this power and those eyes. I demand it as I am your superior, you insolent little ass. Sasuke-kun is right, Naruto Baka. Now talk before I tell my father and the civilian council, said Sakura. Anko was deeply offended at what Sasuke had to say about Naruto and was planning to put the Uchiha in his place along with his pink-haired tranny of a fangirl, but was stopped by Naruto who said to her, don't. You'll make it worse. These two never stop nagging and once they go to the civilian council, the nagging turns to threats that never stop and it ends up giving me a headache like the time this idiot saw me use the Kyuubi's chakra when we were fighting Haku. Can you let me down please? I need to go do something before I go to Hokage-sama's office. You and Kakashi-sensei can head on over there and please do me a solid and take my participant number when they give it out. Anko's glare subsided and her expression softened when she let go of Naruto who walked past Sasuke's shoulder hitting him in the process along with Sakura who nearly fell from the force of it. Once Naruto left, Kakashi looked over to Anko with a questioning gaze to which Anko sighed and said it's a long story, Kakashi, me and the Gaki go way back and we're pretty close. Hokage-sama he actually had me take care of the little guy when he was still a kid. No wonder he's like that. But he does seem to be your opposite in some ways. Like now, he stopped you from talking down these two. Once Naruto was out of sight, he left the tower through a red swirl that wrapped him to wherever he was going. 1 hour later, the temple. Naruto found himself back in the temple, and looked around to see he was in a room that has gold-plated tiles with white walls, then raised an eyebrow at seeing the very red swirl he normally sees on the back of a Chunin flak jacket on the white ceiling of the room. His eyes then landed on a king-sized bed in front of him, then saw the gray-haired and red pupilla-eyed Jashin dressed in a black and white dress with a steel black collar around her neck, wearing no shoes, exposing her very small cute feet, sleeping on the bed, causing Naruto to gain a small smile at seeing Jashin's sleeping form. She seems to look so beautiful when she's asleep. Just like when I saw her in the glass box I found her in. I guess the saying about beauty sleep is true, huh? Jashin. His eyes then landed on a black-haired girl dressed in nothing but a long black nightdress, adored with a fishcake pattern on it, and also wore no shoes, revealing her small feet for Naruto to see as well, that was also sleeping next to Jashin as she was hugging her pillow tightly while sporting a small blush on her cheeks as her mouth was open, showing she was drooling on the very pillow she was hugging. Okay, should I wake the both of them up or just Jashin? Jashin. I'll find out later who that is and what's up with this swirl on my ceiling mat. Did I just say my ceiling? Sigh, must be this new DNA acting up or something. Naruto slowly walked up to Jashin, then stared at her for a few seconds before he crouched down, then kissed her on the cheek, causing the red-eyed goddess of blood and destruction to slowly open her eyes and stare at her master with a warm smile. Before she could speak, Naruto beat her to it as he spoke in a whispering tone. We don't want to wake up your guest over there. Come with me. We need to go to the Sandaime Hokage now. I sort of owe him and some other people an explanation for what you did to me, and I need you tell them the whole truth about you. If I told them myself, they would think I am losing my marbles or something. You can tell me what you wanted to tell me when we come back, Jashinheim. Jashin blushed at Naruto adding the suffix to her name, but slowly sat up and nodded before she got up and held Naruto's hand as the two left the room in a wrapping red swirl, leaving Office to peacefully sleep on her own in silence. Standing just near the hole that leads to the temple is one Yugao Yuzuki dressed in her Umbu attire with her Nico mask on, and her sword tucked on her back, sporting a look of confusion. This isn't right. My senses pick up Naruto-san being 40 to 60 feet underneath me. How is that possible? Did he fall in this hole or something? Before the purple-haired female Umbu could further question the predicament of the genin she was ordered to find, she sensed something besides her and looked to see a red swirl wrapping out two small humanoid figures. Once it was done, the swirl vanished, revealing one Naruto Uzumaki and a gray-haired girl Yugao has never seen before. Just as she was about to speak, Naruto stopped her as he walked up to her with Jashin still holding his right hand with her left, and said to the female Umbu, "You're here to take me to the Sandaime Hokage?" With a hesitant nod, Yugao replied, "Yes. I am." "Then take us over there." "Let's not waste any more time," said Naruto. Yugao placed her hand on Naruto's shoulder, then all three of them left the area in a leaf shunshin, but failed to notice a small green snake see them leave and slithered its way into the hole. Yugao, Naruto and Jashin all arrived in the Hokage's office to see the Sandaime, the elders, with Danzo missing, Anko and Kakashi all waiting for them. They all saw Jashin, and were about to question Naruto who she is when Naruto stopped them as he and Jashin walked forward to the Sandaime's desk with Naruto saying, "Hokage-sama, you and everyone in this room probably have a lot of questions about my reserves increasing with my coils being enlarged, the color of my chakra, these tattoos on my hands and my eyes, along with the fact that I was the one who placed the Juninjutsu blocking seal on Sasuke. In order for you all to understand the answers to those questions, I have brought to you the very person who will explain to you all the truth about what has happened to me. I do ask that you temporarily ask all your Umbu to leave this room until all that has been needed to be said is said." Koharu narrowed her eyes and said to Naruto, "And why should Sarutobi need to have his Umbu leave the room, Uzumaki?" Jashin, whose eyes began to slowly form blood vessels around her red pupilless iris on her white clear surla with thick red worms beginning to slowly surface on her arms like veins, was about to release a godly amount of life-taking pressure on the village elder for addressing her master in such a manner, but was stopped when Naruto squeezed her hand, causing the blood vessels in her eyes and the worms on her arms to vanish before anyone could notice. The Sandaime looked into Naruto's eyes for a minute, then motioned his Umbu to leave the room. Once they were gone, Jashin took a step forward, letting go of Naruto's hand. Then the blood vessels began to reappear on the clear white surla of her eyes as her mouth twisted into her trademark smirk, then folded her arms over her chest. "My name is Jashin. Jashin Otsutsuki. Firstborn daughter of the founder, and late ancestor of the Otsutsuki clan, and the queen of the Otsutsuki clan, Kagaya Otsutsuki. I bear many titles throughout the cosmos, but this world knows me and acknowledges me as the god of blood and destruction. Naruto-sama over here is my sole master and caretaker, and I am the reason he has all his gracious and godly power that exceeds even my own, as he is the greatest being to ever come to exist since the time of my great father God, my adoptive brother Broly, and my mother Kagaya." "What?" 30 minutes later, Konohagaku no Sato, the Hokage Tower. Silence, pure utter silence, was the only thing that could be heard in the office of the Sandaime Hokage as the two elders present, Kakashi, Anko and Hiruzen Sarutobi himself, were stunned to complete silence, as if they were all in a near-death state of a short, while trying to process what they just heard from the gray-haired loli before them known as Jashin, the goddess of destruction who claims Naruto is her master in any form of the word. For the past 30 minutes, Jashin explained what she told Naruto about her clan from where they originated, her father sending her to this planet to plant the seed of the holy tree that bears the fruit that has chakra. Her mother Kagaya eating the fruit to stop the wars that tore the world apart, then her mother giving birth to her two brothers, with one of them being the mythical sage of the sixth paths, with Kagaya hiding her existence from her brothers for reasons Jashin herself didn't know of. She even told them about Kagaya being infected by the holy tree's corruption, then placing her, Jashin, inside a glass container, burying and hiding her in the temple that now belongs to Naruto before she was consumed by the holy tree's corruption and transformed into the progenitor of the Bijin known as the Ten Tails. After a full 2 minutes of silence, Anko was the first one to speak as she said, "Susu, what does this have to do with Naruto?" Jashin turned to the purple-haired Tokubetsu Jounin and answered simple. "When my father died, he wished for his power to live on and be obtained before any one of my cousins, sisters or uncles could get it all for themselves and use it for their own selfish reasons. In order for that to happen, he and my mother decided that if the both of them were to either be sealed away, defeated or lost in the vast cosmos, someone would find me in a deep sleep and awaken me, as that very person who awakens me from my sleep will be the person to tame me, take care of me, and I would gift that person who would become my master or mistress with the power of my father, as my mother would watch over and protect the said person from anyone who tries to harm him or her before he or she would finally know how to use the power of my father to its best. My mother is still very much alive, as is she right there, watching over Naruto-sama as we speak." Jashin pointed to the moon, causing everyone to first look at the moon then back at her, with Kakashi saying, "And how did she get inside the moon?" It was Naruto this time who answered well. During the fight Kagaya-sama had with Hamura and the Rikudo Sannin, the two brothers knew that the only way for them to defeat their mother was to have her sealed inside one of them, or rather Hagoromo in this case. When the battle was won, the Rikudo Sannin became the first Jinchuriki, as he had Kagaya-sama's chakra sealed inside of him. With the power he gained from that, he created a technique called Ninshu, which allowed the user of the said technique to share and connect with everyone around him, allowing everyone to have a mutual understanding for each other, and have the said chakra of the person using the technique. After about 80 years of living with Kagaya-sama sealed inside of him, He was finally at his deathbed and decided to create what we now call the moon through the use of a Rinnegan technique called the Chibaku Tensei. With this, he unsealed Kaguya-sama from the seal, then separated her chakra into 9 separated pieces we now call the 9 Bijou, then sealed Kaguya Otsutsuki into the very moon he created, said Hamura, getting a nod from Naruto and Jashin. Enko made a dry chuckle and said, hold on a minute here. Do you really expect us all to believe that you are a god and so is Naruto from you giving him the power of your father who could possibly be the kami of all deities in the cosmos? Really? Jashin looked into Enko's pupilless round brown eyes with her surla still having the small but visible blood vessels surrounding her pupilless red iris, then sighed tiredly while her shoulders slumped down as she asked, what will take for you to believe every word I just said, Enko-sama? Huh? Why are you calling me Sama? Was what Enko asked with a look of confusion on her face, to which Jashin smiled warmly with eye smiles as she responded, because you are Naruto-sama's surrogate mother and personal love interest. Therefore, the people Naruto-sama acknowledges as his precious people are my superiors. Enko was completely baffled at the answer she received, but more at Naruto having a crush on her, and looked at the blonde who smiled at her, but sneaked a hand into Jashin's dress to pinch her on the left butt cheek for spilling out such sensitive information, and said to her, like I said, I'm not a person of secrets, Enko-san. I was planning on telling you about it, but I just didn't feel ready about telling you, and I didn't want you to see me as the guys who keep trying to dive into your pants all the time. Naruto, said Enko as she looked at Naruto with a softened expression, but looked back at Jashin and said, well, if you are who say you are, then make Koharu-sen 40 years younger, smirks. At this, everyone in the room, including Naruto, was once again stunned to complete silence at Enko's dare as Koharu gasped in sheer surprise, and looked at the torture specialist as if she had grown extra weight on her chest, meaning a third boob, and a third leg. Enko looked back at everyone and said, what? I can't really think of anything else right now since she claims to be the god who feasts on the souls of the people her worshippers kill. And besides, it would be nice to have a village elder I can hang with every once in a while and do fun stuff with, since Nai-chan is always training her team and trying to master other genjutsu techniques. And besides, I hear you like dango with strawberry sauce, Koharu-san, shit-eating grin. I will not admit such an old feeble rumor, Mitarashi, said a stuttering and blushing Koharu. Jashin did a thinking pose with the index finger of her right hand tapping her chin, then shrugged her shoulders as she said, okay, fine then. Normally I would charge a god-awful price for such a request, but since it's a dare to prove I am a deity, I can do it. Would you like to be 40 years younger, Koharu-chan? Koharu froze at the question and the attention being on her, but couldn't help but flash back to her years of being young and full of life and being able to go on missions and enjoy the thrill of protecting Konohagakure from its many enemies while fighting for her life and others instead of just sitting around all day and talking about what is in the best interest of the village and telling her fellow teammate Hiruzen Sarutobi what to do all the time, since that is what came with the occupation of being a village advisor. She would have continued her little trip down memory lane but was stopped by Jashin, who spoke with an annoyed look on her face. We don't have all day here, little granny. You want to be a hot young woman again, or I would like to be young again, Jashin-sama. But if I may ask, will there be any side effects to retrieving my youth? Wheel, said Jashin while looking up to the ceiling as she continued, apart from your hormones acting up sometimes, your lust for hot and heavy sex coming back tenfold, your DNA mutating causing you to have 1 or 2 bloodlines, and your body reversing the clock and being stuck that way, nope. No side effects. Now, Naruto-sama, can I have a cup please? Naruto first looked at the female village elder before him for a second, and could tell that being offered her youth back must have been something she has been dreaming of by the pleased look on her face and the desperation and happiness in her eyes. Then he looked over to Jashin to see that she was actually hiding something from that wink she gave him. Nah, I don't like that wink. I feel like my life is about to be more chaotic than it will already be when she gives me that wink. With slight hesitation, Naruto created a medium-sized glass cup with his left hand as the Kenji for ring on his hand flashed, then handed it to Jashin, who looked into the cup, then formed her lips into a small circle. In a split second, clear glistening white water came out her mouth like a tap pouring water into a cup, and filled up the glass cup, causing the people in the room to look on in shock and awe at what Jashin is doing. Yep. There's no doubt about it now. Everything she said is true. But let's see if that water really is gonna work first before I can jump into conclusions, was what Enko thought of before she looked over to Naruto and thought to herself, I need to talk to him when all of this done. I really do. When the cup was filled, Jashin walked up to Koharu and handed her the cup, then said, drink up. And don't spill a drop of it. Once you do that, the carpet will be infected and anyone who steps on this floor will be a 21-year-old adult, or 2-year-old baby depending on who it is, at the cost of your mistake. Koharu looked at the cup for a brief 6 seconds, then looking at Hamura, who gave her reassuring smile, with Hiruzen sitting at the edge of his seat with his Kage hat off his head showing his look of anticipation. Sigh. I somehow feel an inch of hope growing inside me about this. I hope this will really work for me. She opened her mouth and slowly drank the contents of the cup while moaning at the sudden burst of extreme taste hitting her tongue, as the water tasted like drinking the oldest wine during a hot summer day, with ice cubes giving the wine a fresh and enriching flavor. While she was drinking the water, Her entire being was enveloped by a white light blinding everyone in the room besides Kakashi, who closed his normal eye and opened his Sharingan eye to see what was happening to the village elder, along with Naruto and Jashin, who looked on at the spectacle that was taking place before them. Once Koharu drank up all the water and swallowed, the white light vanished from her form after a brief 2 seconds, revealing her body to have now undergo a complete change. Instead of the long gray kimono held by Anobi with a jacket and sash over it, Koharu was now wearing no shoes, exposing her clean feet for all to see. And I do not have a foot fetish if some of you are thinking that, with a long gray skirt that reached past her knees showing the bottom half of her smooth long legs. And also wore a sleeveless gray shirt that was cut short over her now fully developed mid-C cup breasts, exposing her flat stomach and cute belly button with her marvelous hips, giving her the figure of a supermodel. Her skin no longer had wrinkles or any proof of old age, with her face being heart-shaped, losing all the sagging of her cheeks, with her lips being smaller and more refined than before, with her eyes being a metallic dark black as her hair turned from its old gray color to a beautiful dark raven black, being pulled back in a twin bun locked by a traditional Japanese hairpin with 2 red pearls dangling on the side, and she has fringes of her hair covering her forehead and diamond studs for earrings on both ears. And if you guys have watched the anime and saw how she looks like when she was young, you will have to agree with me that this is a good idea. If you haven't, check out her Naruto Iki and you'll see why. After all, this is fanfiction, right? I can do what I want with the characters, right? Right. These were the following reactions to Koharu being 40 years younger, looking absolutely stunning. Kakashi, eye widening while thinking of telling a certain novelist that the star of Ika Ika, World War Naughty, is back. Enko, eye widen with a small blush, thinking that Jashin is truly a god with her clan really existing, but her mind goes back to Naruto admitting her crush, then further going into images of her, Naruto, and the now young and beautiful Koharu having some hot steamy sex in the council chambers. Hamura turns pale white with shock while having a minor heart attack. Hiruzen, same as Hamura, but wishes for his sensei Tobirama to see his sister figure back to her glorious beauty. Naruto helped her to see herself by raising his left hand to her and creating a mirror of her height, and the raven-haired village elder, or should I say youngster, eye widened as she raised her hands to her face to feel her fresh wrinkle-free cheeks, open her eyelids wide to see no bags underneath her eyes, then her hands reached down for her sizable bust that was held by a gray lacy bra. "Oh my, this I can't even think of what to say, this is most unbelievable," said Koharu. Jashin smirked as she walked up to Koharu and said, "And the best part about my water is..." Jashin grabbed Koharu's left hand and bit off a piece of skin hard, causing the now young Koharu to blood furiously at the open wound. Hamura was shocked at this, but was even more shocked at seeing his former teammate not even flinching in pain at having the skin bitten of her hand, then looked to see the wound closing itself up in a quick matter of seconds. "You have a healing factor and you feel no pain since your pain nerve receptors are completely dead. This ability was actually a gift given to me by my youngest niece, the goddess of youth and age, on my 10th million birthday. Mind you, it is a little too disgusting and the taste feels horrible to me. It made me a lot of pocket money back in the days of my Ka-sama ruling the world with an iron fist before she had Hamura and Hagoromo." Before Koharu could even thank Jashin, the gray-haired loli gave her a serious expression while saying, "About the cost? I lied. From this very moment you will be living with Naruto-sama at the temple, and you are now one of his official servants whether you like it or not. For drinking my water, that is the cost." Hamura and Hiruzen were about to argue with the goddess of blood and destruction, saying that she should rather give their former teammate her age back instead of tricking her into slavery, while slowly focusing their killer intent on the said gray-haired loli. But they soon kept quiet and flinched at the heavy glare Koharu gave them, while a single teardrop came down her right eye. Koharu closed her eyes for a moment, then opened them again as she gave a bow to Jashin while holding the wrist of her left hand with her right hand, giving a stoic but stern expression as she said, "I accept the terms for regaining my youth, Jashin-sama. From this day on, I, Koharu Udatane, will be a loyal servant and personal guard to Uzumaki Naruto-sama, as I will step down from my position as one of the advisors of Konohagakure no Sato and retake my position as an elite jounin of Konohagakure no Sato in order to be of great use for his safety, as well as mine and everyone else he considers dear to him. I will soon get the papers in order to make it official, and hand them over to young Master Naruto once I have signed them." In the back, Naruto facepalmed himself and hit his head on the wall multiple times while saying, "I should have seen this coming, I should have seen this coming." "Ko, are you sure you want to agree to this?" said Hamura with a worried expression planted on his face. Koharu gave her former teammate and fellow advisor a stern gaze as she replied, "I have never been sure of anything in my life before, Hamura. While this is unplanned for, I will not turn away from such a gift given to me. And we both know that I myself had long promised to be a part of young Master Naruto's life before they passed one. I was completely hungover with anger and self-loathing that I forgot to realize the promise I was supposed to keep when Naruto-sama's parents passed on. That and my growing hatred for the Uchiha clan and the Kyuubi blinded me from my duty as an advisor to decide what's best for young Master Naruto instead of mindlessly supporting Danzo and the civilian council at every decision they presented a problem with. Hamura, Hiruzen, I ask of the both of you to please let me take up this decision, as this should be my eternal punishment for being so blinded by grief. hatred and self-loathing over the years of losing Tobirama-sensei, along with young Master Naruto's parents, but mostly his father. By the time she was done talking, her stern expression softened a little as tears were now flowing down her soft and wrinkle-free cheeks, and both Hamura and Hiruzen were not faring any better as they too began to weep at Koharu's confession. Enko was also shedding tears of her own at remembering her late sensei still pregnant with Naruto, then looked over to the blonde who was sporting a look of confusion but also a softened one with a small smile, and walked up to him as she hugged him from behind, causing the blonde Uzumaki to look up and say, "Enko-san, are you crying?" "No, sobs, I just have something in my eyes, that's all." "Okay, then why is she hugging me in the first place?" Kakashi, who was now watching the whole spectacle, shook his head while smiling under his mask as he thought to himself, note to self, Matt, didn't I already make that note? Sigh, I hope you're watching Rin, Minato-sensei, Kushina-sama Obito. After a full minute of tears being openly shed, Koharu, Hamura and Hiruzen had all wiped away the tears, with Hiruzen now putting his hat back on and said, "Sigh, what has been said here by Naruto-kun and Jashin-sama will as of now be a SSS rank secret. This information will never leave this room, nor will anyone ever speak of this even at the mercy of our lives being taken. As for Naruto-kun's abilities, I will hold a meeting addressing Naruto-kun's heritage and true inheritance, further discussing that these abilities are bloodline limits that were passed down to him by his elder Uzumaki ancestors, as Kushina was carrying them within her genes but could only activate the Uzumaki chakra chains Kekkai Genkai. As for the Juin Jutsu blocking seal, I have not spoken to the council about it, so I will say that Jiraiya was the one who placed it there as he discovered how to use such a seal inside the scroll of forbidden jutsu which I had allowed him to read through. Koharu, your sudden change will also need to be addressed, as Danzo will see that it is indeed you." Koharu formed a thinking pose for a second, then looked back to Hiruzen with a stoic expression and replied, "Danzo is a person who tends to always try and find out the very things that do not concern him, as knowing everyone's secrets is one of things he is best at. Even if I was to say this is a genjutsu I decided to apply on myself, he would see right through it, and now that this truly is me. My suggestion is that young Master Naruto creates a carbon clone body of my old self, and you will have it admitted to the hospital saying that I am suffering from a critical heart disease I got due to my age and being poisoned by him by one of Orochimaru's assassins. By the end of the final stage of the Chunin exams, that body will be pronounced dead, as I will die of kidney failure and the heart disease that I have suffered from 4 months ago." Yes, but still, the medical ninja of the hospital could do an analysis to see if the body isn't just some sort of empty vessel or transformed clone, and that would mean that either you have been kidnapped or you faked your own death to try and defect from Konoha without anyone knowing. "I'm not sure this idea will work unless you can copy down KO's life force and chakra into the body," said Hamura. Naruto placed his hands in his pockets, then said with a grin, "Actually, there is a way this could work. You see, the Rikudo Sannin created the Bijuu not out of nothing, but through the use of a technique called the Banbutsu Sozo no Jutsu. This technique alone allowed him to be initially involved in the administration of imagination and the spiritual energy which forms the basis of Yin chakra to create physical forms from nothingness, just like I do with my left hand, which allows me to use the Yin half of my chakra when I choose to. Then, through the application of vitality and the physical energy which forms the basis of Yang chakra, he would breathe life into the resulting creations he made with the Yin part of his chakra. With this technique, I will create Koharu-san's aged body, then she will breathe life into it, giving the body her own small life force and chakra. Of course, she will have to train in the use of using her Yang chakra separately, but that won't take longer than 2 days. Once that is done, I will start working on changing her chakra signature in order for no one to put 2 and 2 together that she is still alive and faked her own death. And before anyone asks me how I know all of this, it's because of the blood transfusion between me and the blood of Kage-sama and Jashinheim's father, along with gaining some of their memories." Gains a deadpan expression. Hamura at first thought over the process of the plan, then nodded, seeing as the plan was now completely solid, but one detail was left out. "Ko, you will have to change your name for this plan to fully work. You have any ideas for that?" said Hamura. Koharu remained silent for a moment, then looked at Hamura and responded, "My name will be Yutane, and I will bear no surname. If I am to be asked of where I come from and who are my parents, I will explain that I lost my parents at birth and that I, or rather Koharu-sama, adopted me for the first 14 years of my life and gave me her surname to use as a name since I was never given one at birth." "Very well. I think the plan will be set in motion as soon as Naruto-kun creates the body, and Yutane-san masters her use and Yang release. However, Jashin-sama, if I may speak, I already know what you two are gonna ask me," said Jashin with a half-smile as she looked at Hamura and Hiruzen, who avoided the goddess gaze while sweating nervously. "I'll cut a deal with the both of you. For you, Hamura-kun, I will give you a cup of my water for the following. Some time from now, a certain somebody will be defecting from Konohagakure. When that happens, you will support Hiruzen over here in labeling that certain someone an S-class threat and give the kill on sight order. For you, Hiruzen, I want you to search and eliminate this man." Jashin walked up to the desk and opened up a bingo book that was nearby to a page showing a white-haired man's face. "His name is Haiden. From what I know right now, he last performed a ritual in Yugakure no Sato, meaning that he probably lives there or something. I don't know and don't care. The reason why I want him gone is because he is the worst worshipper I ever had. All I could hear for the past 200 years is his stupid laughing, screaming my name in vain and begging me to make him an angel of death so that he could be more closer to me than my first and most precious worshipper. When you see him and engage in battle, don't let him stab you with his scythe, as that will allow him to start the ritual of killing you and feeding your soul to me. When you go for the kill, blow him the fuck up. I mean it, deadpan, blow him up and leave not even a single piece of him behind, as that is the only way you can kill Jashinists of his kind. Sweat drop. Very well, Jashin-sama. Once I step down from my position, I shall dedicate my retirement to finding this man and eliminating him once and for all, said Hiruzen, getting a subtle nod from Jashin, who then clapped her hands together and said, now then, Naruto-sama and Yuta-chan here will be working on the plan to fake her death for the week. After that, me and my cousin will remove the temple out of the ground and onto an unused training ground in the clan district. The move won't be noticed, as we will do it late in the early hours of the morning. It's up to you how you want to tell the council and the people of this village about its sudden appearance. But the temple solely belongs to Naruto-sama and only him, therefore, it is called the Uzumaki Temple. Now if you will excuse us, I will be the one to explain to Naruto-sama about his true heritage and who are his parents. Naruto-sama will come to you tomorrow in the afternoon before the council meeting is held. Koharu, or rather Yuta, walked up to Hamura and gave him a hug as she said, I hope you can manage keeping Sarutobi in line on your own, Hamura. But of course, you might have been the smartest one in our team, but I was always the strict one looking after you and him, and keeping you both out of trouble. Yuta pulled away from the hug, and gave Hiruzen a nod, to which he gave one back and said, next time we see each other, I will be sure to give you your kunoichi gear back and reinstate you as a jounin, Yuta. Naruto walked up to Kakashi, who has been rather quiet all this time, and said to his sensei, are you okay, Kakashi-sensei? You haven't said a thing since Jachan spoke. Kakashi looked down to his blonde student, then I smiled as he said, I'm perfectly fine, Naruto. I was just taking in what has happened so far. It's not every day you hear that every single deity in existence comes from a clan, and one of your students just so happens to have one of them as his servant, while that deity's parents will now be constantly watching over him, showering him with protection beyond the universe, or more so the protection you were robbed of as a child. Frowns, but I smiles. Not to forget that you now have the former village Hokage advisor and former team member of Team Tobirama as your personal servant and possible girlfriend. Chuckles. Naruto eye-rolled at Kakashi's statement, but failed to notice Yuta giving a small smile at the thought of being more than just a servant to Naruto. Then she had flashbacks of her lonely nights of living alone, yearning for the relationship of having to love someone and be there for him as a spouse or precious person and share each other's feelings while doing all the other stuff Hiruzen would tell her during the time him and her late friend Iwako were sexually active. At first, Yuta was against the thought, seeing as Naruto was extremely younger than her, but that thought was immediately pushed out of her mind when she realized that Naruto was in a relationship with someone far older than her, being Jashin, meaning that age was probably not gonna be a problem for her if she so chooses to become her young master's lover in the near future. Just as Naruto was about to walk over to Jashin then leave with her and Yuta for the temple, he felt a hand on his shoulder and looked to see Anko looking at him with a softened expression and a small smile as she said to him, Can I come with you? There's something I need to tell you that's sort of related to what you're gonna hear from Jashin-sama. I want to tell you everything about why I took care of you then adopted you, and why I have cared so much about you all this time when you were still young, and now. Naruto could see that she really wanted to come, as he could see it in her eyes that were normally hidden by her mask of always being tough about things, being sadistic and installing fear into any man who so much as tried to greet her, as that mask was gone, revealing that sweet and vulnerable side that Naruto saw only a couple of times when he still lived with her. He gave a sad smile to Anko and responded, Sure, why not, Naruto-sama? It is time for us to leave now, said Yuta, who placed her right hand on Naruto's right shoulder with Anko placing her hand on his left. Jashin walked over to them and grabbed Naruto's hand and said, Don't worry, Naruto-sama. I'll send us home, since teleporting this many people from such a long distance would cause a strain on you. For now, that is. The group of four were soon encircled by different red glowing symbols that span around them fast. Then they left the room in a white flash, with the symbols disappearing after they had left the temple. In a large sitting room that is adored with gold-plated tiles, with the walls being white and the white ceiling having a large candle chandelier lighting up the room, as this room has multiple sofas with a large fireplace keeping the room's temperature warm and a sitting table surrounding one large family couch. Jashin, Yuta, Anko and Naruto all appeared at the same time in a white flash as red symbols span around them for a few seconds before they vanished, not leaving a single trace behind. Jashin turned to Yuta, then gave the raven-haired woman a warm smile as she said, Yuta-chan, will you mind bringing Ofi-chan here for us? She's just upstairs in the second floor. You'll know which room to find her in. While you're at it, please prepare us some dinner with the finest bottle of sake you can find at the alcohol storage. Yuta gave a small bow and left the sitting room as she took the stairs to go find Office, then do the task of preparing food for everyone with some other dishes to prepare for her young master. Jashin turned to Naruto and said, Naruto-sama, you might want to sit down for this. You too, Anko-sama. Once everyone was seated, Jashin took a deep breath then exhaled before she looked at Naruto and said, "Do you know anything about your parents, Naruto-sama? Have you ever guessed who they might be?" "Well, yeah, a couple of times. I once saw this picture of the Yondaime Hokage, and I oddly saw the similarities I have with him, like the blonde spiky hair and my eyes. Then I saw the picture of this woman in a textbook explaining the kunoichi history of Konoha. I think her name was Kushina Uzumaki, aka the Red Death of Konoha," said Anko. "She was my jounin instructor back in the day before I left with that bastard of a snake Orochimaru." Naruto I widened at this, but composed himself as he continued. "I actually read her entire biography and noticed that she was the Yondaime's wife, and she had a child. The textbook said that she died with the child on the day she was." "Oh boy," said Naruto, seeing the softened expressions on Jashin's face and Anko's face as well. "It was a lie, wasn't it?" said Naruto, getting slow nods from the two females before him. Naruto sat there for a moment looking down as his eyes seemed to be narrowed, then looked at Anko and said, "What exactly happened?" "On the day I was born, Naruto, on the day you were being delivered, the Yondaime had your mother moved to a secret location so that no one who would be harmed by the Kyuubi if it got out of the seal in your mother, and to make sure that no one tried to attempt to kidnap her or you right after the birth. She did manage to give birth to you without having the seal breaking down, as your father Minato was maintaining the seal the whole time, and keeping it closed until your mother was out of labor. What actually went wrong was when a mysterious masked man came to that secret location, killed the Sandaime's wife and took you hostage. This man only wanted your mother, and the Yondaime tried his best to save both you and her, but only could manage to get you first. Once he did, he took you to the mansion he and your mother lived in, and once you were safe, he went out searching for your mother, but it was too late, as this masked man had forcefully removed the Kyuubi from the seal, and used some sort of strong mind-controlling genjutsu on it to make it go on a wild rampage, nearly destroying Konoha, and killing lots of innocent people who fell victim to its rage that day." Naruto was silent for a few minutes, but sat back up as he looked up to the ceiling, showing that his eyes were close to tears, and this caused both females to gain looks of sadness at seeing their always grinning and take no shit Naruto now nearly being pushed to tears at hearing about his parents, and what happened on his day of birth. Anko reached for his right hand, and slowly caressed it as she continued, "Your mother, she was somehow still alive, and she had managed to survive the extraction of the Kyuubi from her, and the Yondaime quickly saved her before the masked man could kill her. They were both debating about what to do on the whole situation, and the Yondaime came up with the idea to have the Kyuubi sealed inside you. Your mother argued and fought at first about it, but your father told her that he couldn't ask for another person's child if he wasn't willing to sacrifice his own, and there was no other Uzumaki in the village that could house the Kyuubi, seeing as your mother was far too injured and would die too quick, only allowing for the Kyuubi to come back and cause more havoc on Konoha. Kushina-sensei, she really cried when she had no choice but to help your father work on summoning the Shinigami and creating the seal that will hold the Kyuubi in you. She knew how horrible the life of a Jinchuriki would be, but your father reassured her that you would be seen as a hero for holding the Kyuubi at bay and making sure that it would never harm the lives of anyone again." There was a brief moment of silence as the two females watched Naruto sit there taking in the information, and they too began to weep when they saw Naruto clench his hands into fists while tears began to fall from his puffy red eyes. "What, sobs, what about the masked man? Did they find out who he was?" said Naruto. Anko wiped away her own tears and replied, "Hi. Your father fought with him for a while before he was able to defeat him and severe the genjutsu he had over the Kyuubi. He found out that this man was actually an Uchiha, and claimed to be the late Madara Uchiha, who is the Uchiha clan's late clan head and ancestor. Since then, the Sandaime along with the village elders have been conducting an investigation to see if the masked man would be amongst them, but came out with nothing, as they didn't have a brief description of him apart from claiming to be the dead Uchiha ancestor. Look, Naruto-kun, a lot of us knew the truth, but we were told to never tell you until you were strong enough to protect yourself from your father's and your mother's enemies, since that was the reason why you were not given both Minato's and Kusahina-sensei's last names. I begged and pleaded with the Hokage and the council to let me adopt you, but I was denied at every turn. The Sandaime, he was the one who helped me get close to you and take care of you while the council wouldn't know about it. When the Sandaime bought that apartment down at the 9th district, I also moved in next door to you. It was then that I started to look after you, even though I wasn't always there that time." "What about Kakashi-sensei? Did he know about this too?" said Naruto, with Anko replying, "He was your father's best student. Demo, Kakashi has been through a lot in his life before you were born. First, he lost his mother, his father the White Fang of Konoha, to suicide. Then he lost his two teammates during the Third Shinobi War. Then he lost your father and mother. When that happened, he joined the Umbu and buried himself into work until he wasn't in the village any longer, taking mission after mission. I guess you can say he sort of shared the same pain Koharu-san had about you in a way. But me and Nai-chan, we got him to quit being an Umbu member and become a Jounin sensei so that he could hold up his promise of teaching you all the things your father taught him when he was still learning from him. Since then, he did all he could to teach you and make you a strong and powerful shinobi, even though the civilian council kept on blackmailing him to focus more on Sasuke and neglect you on purpose. Do I have any other family out there?" said Naruto as he was now calm and wiped the tears away from his whiskered cheeks while taking deep breaths to stop the sobbing. Anko shook her head and said, I don't know much about that besides Jiraiya of the Sannin being your godfather. Naruto-kun, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't trying to make him stay and look after you with me. He was always in and out of the village, never staying for a day. Demo, I did get him to buy you that ugly jumpsuit and get you that year's supply of ramen that you always wanted. Naruto gave a low chuckle at hearing what Anko said and responded, at least he did something for me when I was kid, and stopped some of those mob attacks that happened to me, but next time I see him, I want to hear from him why he never stayed or took me with him to wherever he went, since it was his duty as a godparent to look after me in case my parents weren't around. Sigh, you both want to know how I feel about all of this, don't you? Naruto received nods from both Anko and Jashin, causing him to sigh as he continued, I feel a lot of things right now. One of them happens to be happiness at knowing my parents are two of the most strongest ninja Konoha has ever produced. Then there is anger at knowing that they are the very people who are partially to be blamed for the shitty life I've lived. But now, I am starting to realize that it wasn't my dad's fault altogether, as he was only doing his duty as the Hokage to protect the village, and his duty as a father to protect me, since he knew both him and mom wouldn't be there for me since they were fighting to protect everyone in the village and me. The only bad thing he did on his side was trusting this village to treat me as the hero he wanted. I heard from Mizuki that my dad was the person who sealed the fox into me, but the secret was to be never released for my own safety, since people were still mourning the loss of their loved ones dying at the hands of the fox, and were literally searching for a scapegoat to release all their anger on. It was those power-hungry sons of bitches of the civilian council that put the word out about me being the Kyuubi Jinchuriki, and that's when all the shit started for me with this village. Sigh, if you're gonna ask me if I forgive my mom and dad for what they have done, I do. Even though I still hold some anger at them, I understand that my mom must have said a lot of things to me before she sacrificed herself for the Kyuubi to be sealed away. My dad? Well, if I was to ever meet him, I would give him the beating of a lifetime, that's for sure. But I do understand that had he not sealed the Kyuubi into me, the entire village would have been destroyed and innocent lives would have been lost if he didn't do anything to stop the Kyuubi. As for the masked man, dry chuckle, he just gave me an epiphany of a lifetime. A good Uchiha is a dead Uchiha. I swear that if I ever cross paths with him in this lifetime or the next, I will make sure that I kill him, then bring back to life just to kill him again, and again and again in a lot of different ways that I suffered at the hands of the villagers, just to make him feel the pain he caused me all my life. That's a promise of a lifetime. Jashin could no longer help herself, and got close to Naruto as she hugged him and openly wept on his shoulder. Naruto was shocked at first, but soon came to hug the goddess back while saying soothing words to calm her down, while soothingly rubbing her back and patting the back of her head. Anko smiled at seeing Naruto comfort Jashin, and couldn't help but also sit close to him and brush the top of his head while giving him one of her true smiles that she rarely gave anyone. You've really grown up from the time I met you, Naruto-kun. You remind me so much of your mother's kindness towards everyone, and how she was able to see things from a different perspective instead of jumping to conclusions like she did when she was younger. You were sort of brash and loud-mouthed like she was when she was a child, and she also had the same dream as you when she was a genin. She wanted to become Hokage? Said Naruto, getting a nod from a smiling Anko. After 2 minutes of Jashin's crying, the gray-haired Otsutsuki finally calmed down, and looked up to Naruto as he asked her, so what were you going to tell me about my heritage, Ja-chan? You said something about my true heritage that I should know before Hokage-sama would mention it to the council. Well, now that you know who your parents are, I need to tell you that your mother, Kushina, was actually a part of a clan called the Uzumaki clan, and so are you, Naruto-sama. At this, Naruto was eye-widened into shock, but composed his shock as he responded to Jashin with a question. Wait a minute, now that I remember, I overheard some people back in the Wave Country talking about a place called Yuzushiogakure. Was that? Yes. Yuzushiogakure was actually a village of the Wave Country, and it belonged to the Uzumaki clan, and had it not been for the attack it suffered, it would have been the 6th great village of the elemental nations today. You see, the Uzumaki clan was one of the clans that helped the Senju and Uchiha clan build Konohagakure no Sato after the clan wars, and when that was done, they became an independent clan that worked to become one of the best and strongest clans that would even have their own village and maybe their own country. The Uzumaki clan was known for its godly prowess in Fuinjutsu along with their chakra chains and longevity, as some of them, like the late Mito Uzumaki, would live for at least a good 100 years before dying of natural causes. After the First Shinobi War, the Uzumaki clan was close to becoming the 6th major village in the elemental nations, and this didn't sit well with the Kages of Kumo, Iwa and Kiri during that time. Because of that, the Uzumaki clan was seen as a threat, and those 3 major villages came together to form a surprise attack on the Uzumaki clan that destroyed Yuzushio and killed almost every member of the clan. The leader of the clan had sent the message to Konoha and Suna for their immediate aid in fighting off the Kumo-Kiri Iwa forces. Demo, that's where the real truth comes in. The messages were sent through the use of summons, as the leader of the clan had the dog's summoning contract and the jackal's summoning contract. When the summon that was sent to Konoha arrived, It was killed by a certain someone who also had a spy in Suna to take care of the summon that was supposed to give the message to the Kazakage. This person apparently was also in the discussions made between Kumo, Kiri and IWA, and aided them in finding which weak spots to hit the clan, giving them the upper advantage once they had arrived at Yuzushiogakure. Before Jashin could further continue talking, Yutane, still dressed in the long gray skirt that reached past her knees showing the bottom half of her smooth long legs and sleeveless gray shirt that was cut short over her mid-C cup breasts exposing her flat stomach and cute belly button with her marvelous hips giving her the figure of supermodel, arrived with 2 shadow clones carrying the dinner feast with Ophis following close behind who was still dressed in her long black nightdress adored with a fishcake pattern on it, now wearing just a pair of black slippers on her small feet. The former Hokage advisor / village elder placed the trays of food on the table, then said to Naruto, I cooked this feast for you, Naruto-sama. I hope that you will like the plate of ramen I had made with oxtail and beef soup especially for you. The bottle of sake will be ready shortly. Where did you find this woman, Jashin? She really knows her stuff. I've been watching her for the past 10 minutes now since I had woken up, said Ophis. Naruto I widened at the food before him that was served like a feast meant for a king, then grinned with eye smiles while rubbing the back of his head and said, you really didn't have to go through making so much food, Yutane-san. It looks like you were cooking for a king and his army. Demo, you are far greater than any king that has come to ever exist, Naruto-sama, said Yutane, who raised her right eyebrow and gave a smile which made Naruto blush at the compliment, and her smiling, then gave a sheepish laugh causing the women who were watching to giggle at Naruto's blushing and Yutane's teasing. Jashin looked over to Yutane and said, Yuta-chan, I was just explaining to Naruto-sama the fall of Uzushio and his clan. Would you care to tell him who is responsible for the fall of his clan, along with the passing of Mito Uzumaki and the reason why Naruto-sama's mother was chosen to be the Nadame Kyubi Jinchuriki? Upon hearing the question, Yutane's smile vanished from her face and narrowed her eyes, then gave Naruto a stern look and said, Shimura Danzo Shimura. 1 week later, Konoha Hospital. Sitting at one of the chairs of the waiting room inside the hospital is one Kakashi Hatake reading his favorite pastime book in silence while he was waiting for his eternal rival to finish his visit here in the hospital, since he promised the bowl-cut-haired taijutsu master that they will have a little spar before Kakashi would return to training his least favorite student Sasuke. Without even looking up from his book, the one-eyed mask-wearing Jounin said, Hello, Naruto. Nice to finally see your face again. Naruto, who was planning on startling his sensei, gained a deadpan expression with a throbbing vein on his forehead at being discovered before he could scare Kakashi, sat down next to his sensei and replied, Nice to see you too, Kakashi-sensei. How have you been? Oh, you know, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I've been training him like I always do, and now I am forced to teach him an A-rank assassination jutsu that will help him in his fight against the Ichibi Jinchuriki Gaara no Sabaku. That, and I have been trying to talk that godfather of yours since he got here about getting you this. Kakashi took out 2 scrolls from his pockets and handed them to Naruto, then said, Inside those 2 scrolls are the 2 jutsu that gave your father the S-rank threat level and the flee on sight order. The Rasengan and the Hiroshin no jutsu. I figured that since you will be trained by her who seems to get the gist of how things work with training you, she can help you master these 2 jutsu before the finals of the Chunin exams. Of course, Jiraiya was supposed to teach you, but you and Enko had landed him in a coma he probably won't be waking up from in a month's time, I think. Hey! You know he deserved it for what he had to say to me before he told me the reason why he wasn't always around in my childhood. Humph! Said Naruto with a huff while folding his arms over his chest, causing Kakashi to smile. But his expression soon softened when he looked down to the floor and said to Naruto about that, Naruto, I'm really sorry for what happened to you. I was really blinded by my grief and blaming myself for your parents' death that I nearly forgot about you. Grins, don't sweat it, Kakashi-sensei. Enko-chan had already told me what you had to go through when you were still young, and it wasn't really your fault that Tusan and Ka-chan died. I actually wish that maybe I could have helped you deal with the pain of having to lose the people you care about, since I know that pain too. Kakashi's expression brightened up at hearing that, but looked at Naruto with a comical grin and raised eyebrow as he said, So it's Enko-chan now? Wow, Naruto. That charm of yours knows no boundaries. Not to forget that Lady Luck must be really on your side with the ladies. First it was finding you-know-who and bagging Yutane-san as a servant, then the new cute lowly dragon girl, now you're dating one of Konoha's most feared ice queens? I fear for the many women you will come across when you get older one day. And the kids you will be having? I see an army of demigods running everywhere here in Konoha, grunts and eye rolls at the perverted giggle of his sensei. Keep it together, Kakashi-sensei, for you will never know if Jashin or Yutakan are watching over me right now with Kagaya-sama's crystal ball. You saw what happened to that closet pervert Ebisu when he was watching Enko-chan and Ophis-chan go to the private hot springs, said Naruto, causing a dark cloud to fall on a comically crying Kakashi with his shoulders slumped down, who said that hot spring is gone, and that was the only one without a roof in Konoha. It's all gone from just one lava release technique she used to destroy it. Now there will never be Ika Konoha adventures anymore because of this, comical sob. Anyway, thanks for the jutsu, Kakashi-sensei, and I'll be sure to master them during my training period. And for what's it's worth, I hope you stop training that stuck-up Uchiha faggot after this, said Naruto. Kakashi nodded once and said Hokage-sama and Hamura-sama will help me with that, as the civilian council will be reported to the fire daimyo of their business in interfering with shinobi affairs, laundering money from Konoha's tax payments, and the Shinobi Academy along with other crimes they have committed, like exposing an S-class secret, which is your Jinchuriki status, to the village during the time the villagers were still recovering from the Kyuubi attack. Once everyone on the civilian council has been arrested and executed for their crimes, a new batch hand chosen by the Hokage and his advisor will fix the mess that was made, like the education system in the Shinobi Academy and the village's economic system. Well, that's good to hear, but I gotta go back home and help Yuta-chan with that plan of ours. I'll see you soon, Kakashi-sensei, said Naruto, who got up and left the hospital as Kakashi also said goodbye to him. Kakashi sighed to himself as he sat back onto the chair and pulled out the book, but smiled at the same time as he thought to himself, it seems like things are finally turning for the better in this village that has lost so much over the years, but I just hope that things can stay that way for Naruto. I can't help but feel as if a heavy storm will come before the sun can shine down on us all. Sigh. Unknown location. Aya. I see you have finally returned from the little mission I had sent you on, Luka-kun. What have you discovered about the Kyuubi brat when you followed him to wherever it is he was going? I have discovered that he found a temple that belongs to the long-forgotten mother of the Rikudo Sessinin. It seems that he has gotten such power in his grasp from whatever is inside. However, I could not enter the temple as the doors will only open once they sense the chakra signatures of those who are registered to the temple. I found out about who the temple belongs to by the stone table I found nearby. Be warned, Orochimaru the Otsutsuki are a species no one on this world or any other world could match or even hope to touch, as they are a species of gods and goddesses who are very much respected and feared throughout all of existence. If the Kyuubi Jinchuriki has gotten such power from them, there will be no capturing him like you are doing with Sasuke. I would advise that you stay away from him, as he already has even greater enemies that will come after him and the Otsutsuki clan. Really, now? Still, it wouldn't hurt to try and see if I could make him my second vessel. After all, he does seem to have the legendary chakra of a god, and those eyes seem to hold far more interest and power than the great Uchiha clan's Sharingan and the Rinnegan. Such power will be too much of waste to ignore, evil smirk. And who knows, maybe I can finally get all the world's jutsu and more if I can find a way into the temple if it is to ever surface to the ground. If I can accomplish that, there will be no single ninja in the world that could reach my level. A few weeks later, day of the final Chunin exam. Konohagakure no Sato, Chunin exams arena. It has been a good 3 weeks since the truth about Naruto's parents and his heritage was been told to the entire village, the council along with all of Naruto's friends and all the ninja of the village, and a lot of things have happened since then. On the day of Koharu's admission to the hospital for a heart disease was announced, the temple that once belonged to Kage Otsutsuki, which now belongs to Naruto, resting underground the Forest of Death, was finally transported to the public training ground at the Shinobi Clan district, and a lot of chaos and panic had spiraled out about the whole thing. Luckily, a council meeting was held about the entire thing as the Sandaime, a fully recovered Jiraiya, and Naruto were able to give a reason as to where the temple had came from and why it was placed on the public training ground of the clan district. During the council meeting, the civilians had still yet to accept that Naruto was now going to be a part of the Shinobi Council as the clan head of the Uzumaki clan, along with the fact that he has the chakra and Kekkai Genkai of his Uzumaki ancestor that Kushina only carried through her DNA, passing down to Naruto, who was able to grasp the chakra and gain the eyes during a mentally and physically painful experience in the Forest of Death. So as soon as he had arrived at the council chambers to take his seat next the Akamichi clan head Chuza, the overweight civilian fools, and maybe hookers seated as female members, began to argue, name-call him, since the Sandaime had lifted his law. Then babble on about how Naruto's power and eyes should be handed to their precious Sasuke-sama, since such power was not worthy of the Kyuubi bastard and he should have never claimed to be the son of Minato, as the Uzumaki whore had raped their beloved Yondaime just to have his child. Of course, not only did the Sandaime, Jiraiya and Naruto release an ocean of killer intent on the poor feeble fools, but also all of the Shinobi Council members who were friends with Naruto's parents along with him too. Flashback time. Are you done now? Are you gonna shut up like you're supposed to, since none of this concerns you people? Said Naruto with an intensified glare that would put a certain torture specialist to shame. Some of the civilian council members nodded their heads nervously as they were sweating balls from the killing intent unleashed upon them, while others had already fainted since they couldn't handle the fiery gazes of the Sandaime and Naruto's combined. Naruto sighed as he stopped releasing killer intent, and so did the others as the Sandaime cleared his throat and spoke. Now that Naruto-kun has arrived, Jiraiya-kun here will now explain where does the temple come from and why has it been dropped onto the former public training ground of the clan district. Jiraiya, if you will. Jiraiya stepped forward and gave a short bow to the Shinobi Council and said, "Greetings, Council of Konoha. I understand that a lot of confusion has been made about the temple, but I assure you that there is a good explanation to be made upon its arrival here in Konoha. During my time of searching for any other remaining treasures that were left behind at the ruins of Uzushio, I had found out that some of the buildings that the Uzumaki and his elite force had managed to save were sealed away in very large scrolls that were meant for such a time like an attack to happen, which in this case did happen. I had tried to take all of the scrolls as there were more than 7 of them, but I could only take what was important, while I gave the rest to the Toad Summons as they were there to help me retrieve the scroll that housed the great ancient temple that now stands in the training ground that was made public to the clans of Konoha. I was told by the Toad Summons upon their inspection of the scroll that the temple was actually several centuries old, and its size was large enough to at least take up a lot of space ranging to 40 miles by measurement conversion. When I had came back here to Kohoha to give my daily report on my findings of what my spy network could discover, I was told that Naruto's heritage and inheritance was to be announced soon and the Uzumaki compound was to be rebuilt, while the main house was to be built afresh since the Kyubi no Kitsun's attack had actually destroyed it along with the protective seals placed inside the house, triggering the house to explode, as that also took away the Uzumaki Jutsu library that was a copied down version of what the temple gave to Konohagakure during the time Mito-sama was to be married to Hashirama-sama. I had spent the past week teaching Naruto on how to release the temple from the scroll in that very training ground, since the temple couldn't be placed at the Uzumaki compound that is still undergoing reconstruction as we speak. I actually bought the land of the training ground from Hokage-sama when I told him that I needed the space, said Naruto. Danzo, who was sitting beside Hamura, spoke with a stoic expression planted on his heavily bandaged face. If that is the case, then why wasn't it mentioned that you would buy the land and use it to be a place for the temple to reside on? And why is it not possible for anyone else to enter the temple besides yourself, Jinchuriki? Naruto at first narrowed his eyes at the old war hawk, who did the same, then was about to speak when the Sandame interfered. Naruto-kun had bought the land just yesterday, and my advisor was there to stand witness to agree that the training ground now belonged to Naruto-kun and the Uzumaki clan. In any case, the land of that training ground was to be sold since no one within the clan district was using it, since every clan compound has its own individual training ground. I spoke with all the clan heads present here in the chambers of this matter, as I had went to all of the clans to say the training ground will now be owned by the Uzumaki clan, and they all agreed as no one was using it anyhow, and besides, the temple is clan property. My clan has already given the Konoha library the basics of Fuinjutsu along with giving the dog summoning contract to Kakashi Hatake, who has been a good summoner to the dog summons. When I asked them what is inside the temple is none of your goddamn business, Shimura, so I would kindly like to ask you back off and not even think of trying to set foot anywhere near it again, said Naruto, who got no reaction from Danzo except an eyebrow raised from the old warhawk. One civilian member foolishly stood up and said, even if that training ground wasn't used by anyone, it was still private property. Hokage-sama was supposed to inform us of this matter, as selling such land is only affairs handled by us, the civilian council, not the shinobi council. And there has been rumors that the temple itself has people living inside there. The Kyubi brat has kidnapped young children. We have seen 2 little girls leave the temple and enter it numerous times. Naruto sighed tiredly and looked to the Sandame, who gave the blonde a look that said, this is what I have to deal with every day. Naruto sat back on the chair and rubbed the sides of his neck and said to the 2 shouting hooligans of the civilian council, okay, first of all, you idiots have no jurisdiction on the district of the shinobi clans, and if memory serves me well, that training ground and the land once belonged to the Kurama clan, of which they had sold the land to all the shinobi clans of Konoha only, meaning that they were the only ones who held the shares on the land. Hokage-sama chose not to hold a meeting over this, since it would be rather easier to go to all the clans and ask them if they would allow me to buy the land, as all the money was sent to them besides the Uchiha CLA. Naruto baka. Give Sasuke-kun the money he deserves and give him that temple, said one skinny pink-haired banshee who was now walking in with Sasuke, who had a smug grin on his face. The loud screeching of Sakura made some Inuzuka wince while growling at her, and Shikaku, who was sleeping, was now fully awake upon the loud screeching of the pink-haired stain in the room. Sasuke tried to walk up to Naruto but was stopped by 2 Anbu, as one wore the mask for Wolf and the other for Nico, with the former saying to Sasuke in a monotone voice, you will not take a step forward. Sasuke was about to retort to this, but was stopped by Naruto, who said, what do you want to say to me, Sasuke? If it's about the money, then sorry, those idiots behind you already took it, since you signed the papers saying that they will be funded for their constant backing the Uchiha clan in all the council meetings and decisions taken once you become a Chunin. Don't believe me? Then why is there a new shopping mall down at the business district of the village? Sasuke froze at this, then turned his attention to the civilian council, who were shaking in fear of their great Sasuke-sama being angry with them. But one green-haired skinny woman who looked like a piles of bones in hooker clothing said, Sasuke-sama, we built that mall in order for you to grow more money than that Kyubi brat, and buy more land so that the Uchiha clan could expand properly. It would have been wasted if we did not help you invest on something quickly before the money would have gone to buying more supplies for the village. We swear. You own 60% of the income of the mall, while we take 40%, and you can have anything for free there, Sasuke-chan, while saying I don't care about investments. Nor do I care what happens to that money. It was mine, and I was going to buy that temple that is so rightfully mine, not this cannon fodder. The duck-but-haired last Uchiha turned again to look directly at Naruto, then said, I know you have women in that temple, and I know you are living there right now. Move out of it, and take whatever trash you have that is yours inside and leave the women as they will be my slaves and keep the temple clean in my presence of me being there. As from this day, that temple now belongs to the Uchiha clan, which is the only true founder of this stupid pathetic village and the greatest clan in the world. My word overrules yours, Naruto. Now hand over the deed to that temple and leave this room while you still can with that pathetic little empty pride of yours, you son of a wasteful and disgusting whore. There was a brief moment of silence when Naruto looked into Sasuke's eyes with a look of indifference. Then not even a minute later, the blonde Uzumaki burst into laughter as he kept hitting the table with his right hand continuously, then standing up to laugh louder in Sasuke's face before he calmed down and said to Sasuke, "Hee hee. That's really the funniest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. I mean, sure, I've heard better, like Sum-san over here getting drunk and chasing her own tail, or Chuza-san attempting to make a cooked turkey his second wife, but this definitely takes the cake out of all the things I've heard so far. Your clan? The Uchiha clan? The best clan? Dude, let me tell you the difference between your clan and mine. First, how about I break down the history of your clan, since I already know you're too stupid to even learn it all as you are so prideful. You purposely believe the Uchiha clan is a gift from God and they have no faults. Your clan are nothing but thieves, well, not all of them, but yeah, they are thieves. They barely survived the clan wars on their own, and they needed the help of the Senju clan and Uzumaki clan to survive, since they were also the ones who helped build this village. Mind you, the Shodaime Hokage built every single house, building and forest on his own. But yeah, that's what happened. Your clan only became angered by having to not become the clan to take the Hokage mantle first during that time. But they were also pissed off at your ancestor Madara Uchiha, the strongest clan head of the Uchiha clan, who they turned on and banished him from the clan because he allowed the Senju clan to take the Hokage position before they could. Your great ancestor, who is rumored to have the greatest Sharingan eyes, was defeated by the Shodaime Hokage himself, and after that happened, the very same Kyubi no Kitsune he summoned to help him in the fight was quickly taken down and sealed away by my great-grand-aunt Mito Uzumaki. Moving right along to the real facts. Your clan only became more bitter when they were pushed out the clan district and into their private district, as they were giving the position as police officers and prison guards. Shit got so unfair for you fools that you started thinking that maybe planning a coup against Hokage-sama would help you all to fully restore the glory that was taken away from your clan. But that got you nowhere, as wait for it, you were all killed by your OWN trusted prodigy of an Umbu Izumi Uchiha. It took one single person to kill you all in just one night. By now, the Uchiha's face was beginning to be tomato red in infuriating anger, and attempted to jump Naruto, only to be stopped by the two Umbus standing in front of him who held him back easily. Oh yeah? Get angry, cause that's all you're gonna do. And after that you're gonna be brooding again for another 5 hours tops before your mind forgets all what I have said here. But let's move on to my clan. The clan wars? Don't get me started on how many clans my clan took down, and you can ask Inoichi-san over here, who has known what exactly happened since I invited him to see my temple's library. You wanna talk about starting a village? Okay, let's go there. The Uzumaki clan helped the Senju clan create the very same barrier that protects this village today, along with the seals that were placed around the Hokage tower to protect it from any attack that might occur, like an invasion or a hostile takeover. And that's not it. When Mito-sama got married to the Shodaime Hokage Hashirama Senju, the Uzumaki clan provided this village with a high number of D to S class genjutsu that made the Nadaime Hokage Tobarama Senju a feared and acknowledged shinobi of his time. Jutsu like the Kagebushin, the Great Edo Tensei, and the summoning jutsu to summon the Shinigami. After that, my clan moved on to build its own village. Yeah, that's right. Its own village. And it would have been the 6th great hidden village had it not been attacked. Oh, you're gonna smirk now? Said Naruto, seeing Sasuke smirk at hearing what Naruto said about the Uzumaki clan being attacked. But the blonde continued, yes, we were taken down with only a handful full of us surviving, unlike your flat foul and being spared. You know what it took to take us down? Not one person. Nope, it took 3 great villages, 3 great villages to take down one clan that took out nearly the entire army of shinobi sent to take us down. Sure, that was a lose, but again, a lot of us had survived, and my mother was sent to this village and taken into custody of the Senju clan when she arrived. The other survivors? I'm not sure where they are, but I'll soon find them and have them live here in Konoha with me so that the Uzumaki clan can be whole again, and maybe have its current clan head be the first Uzumaki to become Hokage. Now, Hokage-sama, I would like to conclude to the council that I am living in the temple and will be staying there for the time being until the main house of the clan compound is built, and I would also like to be placed under the CRA. Some of the civilian members gained smug looks at this as one fat bald member stood up and said, if that is the case, then your sperm is all that is required. Once there is enough, you will be executed for insulting a future clan head of the great Uchiha clan and poisoning a village elder. Jiraiya, who was now standing beside Hiruzen again, raised his right eyebrow and said, excuse me. Are you accusing my godson of being responsible for the heart disease Koharu-sama is suffering right now? Unfortunately, the civilians once again grew very small backbones and starting shouting on about Naruto being the culprit, as it is only the demonic work of the Kyubi to infect such a great lady of the village and try to kill her, since she is the one who helped take the Kyubi down when it was still a little bastard. They would have continued again, but were stopped when the Hokage released a heavy amount of killer intent on them and said, "Silence, you blabbering fools. I will not be hearing anything from you all about Koharu ever again, and that accusation will be revoked this instant. Am I clear? Am I clear?" Again, the civilians had gotten shit scared and all sat down as all of them avoided the Sandame's intensified glare and nodded their heads nervously as they didn't want to be on the receiving end of the great professor's wrath. The Sandame cleared his throat and said, "This discussion of the Uzumaki temple has been now decided, and a village meeting will be held to explain to the villagers that the temple is a part of Konoha and who it belongs to. Now, we shall discuss other important matters related to you people," glares at the civilian council. "Some recent evidence has been found about the civilian council doing some very dirty deeds behind my back and that of the shinobi council, and the fire daimyo will be here when the day of the final Chunin exams commences. Do not make it any worse for yourselves by trying to run or leave this village, as you will be hunted down and killed on the spot." Hearing this, all the civilians' eyes widened in shock, with some turning pale white in fear, and were now really beginning to piss themselves as they could see the many glares they were receiving from the shinobi council, and one civilian looked over to Danzo, who glared back at them, causing to them to realize there was truly no way out of this. Back with Sasuke, the last Uchiha pulled himself off of the two Anbu, but gave a Sharingan blazing glare to Naruto and said, "Mark my words, you insolent whelp. I will kill you for all that you have said to me, and I won't stop till there is nothing else left of you. I will take away every single thing you love, and I will turn it into my own or destroy it if I choose to. I will do all of this in the name of the prestigious Uchiha clan, and I swear to finish off what those pathetic villages couldn't do. I will kill you, and my power will exceed yours one way or the other." Naruto, who wasn't all affected by Sasuke's threat, simply gave him a bored look while placing his left cheek on his left hand and replied, "Same goes to you, Sasuke. But last I check, you don't have anything you care about. Oh wait, you only care about killing that sister of yours, Izumi. Maybe I should make her my precious person and help her deal with the fact that letting you live was the greatest mistake she had ever done. Hell, maybe I'll help her realize that your life wasn't even worth sparring at all. Fuck, I should do that." Grins, Sasuke fumed even more at this, but chose to leave the chambers, believing that there will be another day when he will put the clanless Dobe in his place, which is at his feet. Flashback end. After the council meeting, the Sandame had told the villagers along with everyone else everything he had explained to the council about the temple, and it seemed that they took it better than a civilian council did. Back to the present. Today is a sunny day as people filled up the Konoha Stadium, with some of the stands having the villagers seated with others having shinobi and kunoichi, with the clan heads seated. Then there was the VIP section where some of the daimyo of the elemental countries and rich merchants were seated with their trusted guards as they watched the spectacle before them begin. The stadium was filled with many people as cheers could be heard, and while some obvious civilians were there to cheer the last Uchiha who is yet to arrive, and others were there to cheer those who they have placed their bets on. In the Kage stands, here we find one Hiruzen Sarutobi dressed in his Kage robes with his Kage hat on, while having his battle attire underneath the robes. Sitting next to him is the Yandame Kazakage, who is the father to the 3 Suna contestants who will be fighting today. Standing behind Hiruzen is one tall male Anbu who wore the ox mask, and the other Anbu was none other than Yutane, dressed in the standard Anbu clothing with a long okatana blade that has a red leather handle with a hexagon guard sheathed on her back, wearing the mask for Fox. Yutane looked over to her right to see 3 guards standing behind the Yandame Kazakage, and couldn't help but feel a very strange feeling well up inside of her, telling her that something about the 3 guards and the Kazakage was way too odd. "I don't know why, but I just have this gut feeling that Jasama has given this tagged kunai to me for a reason. This kunai, it has the same tag that is used to control the bodies of a person summoned through the Edo Tensei. Am I supposed to be worried that something bad is going to happen to Sarutobi? Or should I be prepared for something that will require my skills to protect him against whoever it is that is acting as the Yandame underneath that skin? Somehow, I really wouldn't care what happens up here. So long as Naruto-sama is safe, and the fallen are doing their duty to protect the temple and bring her back to Jasama, I am well at ease for whatever surprise will make its way today. I did not spend the last 2 weeks training under Jashin-sama for nothing. Today seems like a day for Konoha, Kazakage-dano. Last year's Chunin exams were more dominated by your Suna Genin and those of Kirigakure, but it seems only your children have made it into the finals, while only Konoha and Oto are the only villages competing in these finals," said Hiruzen as he took out his pipe and began to smoke. The Kazakage gave a chuckle as he responded, "Really? Why do you speak so high of yourself, Hokage-dano? Do you really believe that the last Uchiha can win against my youngest son Gaara, Sasuke? I wasn't talking about him. But on that matter, I do wonder what is keeping him and Kakashi late. If they don't get here before Sasuke's match with your son starts, then I will disqualify him, as I shall not show any favoritism just because some of the villagers have came to see him. He is just a genin competing like everyone else today, and he shall not be given special treatment just because he is the last member of the Uchiha clan, or for the fact of some of the merchants betting on him against your youngest son Gaara-kun." The Kazakage didn't give a reaction to what Hiruzen had to say, but Koharu saw a slight eyebrow twitch along with his left hand twitching twice, causing the disguised kunoichi to be more vigilant about the Kage sitting next to her old friend and soon-to-retired Sandame Hokage. Down at the stadium, 7 of the contestants out of the 9 were present, and here we find one Gunma Shiranui finishing his explanation on the rules and said, also, Shikamaru Nara will not be competing against Osu, who was found dead a week ago, so now the match will be changed to Shikamaru vs Temari no Sabaku, and there will be no extra matches. Now will everyone besides Naruto, Uzumaki, and Niji Hyuga please leave the arena and head up to the contestant booth. Everyone left for the booth besides Naruto, who is still dressed in his straight black jumpsuit pants with a pair of black shinobi sandals and a white t-shirt adorned with a black upside-down star, a Konoha headband tied around his forehead, and he has a small platinum braid chain around his neck, and there appears to be 2 tattoos on the top parts of his hands, as his left hand has the Kenji 4 In and the other has the Kenji 4 Yang. And Niji, who is dressed in blue shinobi sandals, brown shorts and a khaki shirt with a dull blue shirt beneath the khaki with mesh armor, and he appears to have bandages wrapped on his chest, right arm and right leg, with his hair being tied into a loose ponytail, and has the Konoha forehead protector at his forehead, as it has 2 straps framing his head. Genma looked at the 2 Chunin hopefuls and said to them both, "Are you ready?" The 2 nodded in response to the question. Then Genma shouted Hajime, then stepped back from the 2. "You are fool to think you can win against me, Naruto-san, for fate has already declared me as the winner of this fight," said Niji with a smirk, only to gain a tick mark at seeing Naruto's bored expression as he responded to the Hyuga prodigy. "Niji, for my sake, yours, and the Hyuga clan, do not, I repeat, do not babble on about your stupid beliefs in fate, and how fate has given you the bad hand because your late father was born a few seconds after Hinata-san's dad. I really do sympathize with the lose of your father, and how that has affected your childhood. But what I don't like is your hatred for the main branch family of the Hyuga clan, especially how much you hate Hayashi-san and his 2 daughters." This caused Niji to fume and clenched his fists, as he yelled to Naruto, "What do you know about what I have been through? You know nothing of my struggles. You are just like Hinata-sama when it comes to what fate deals for." "Hold it right there. I know enough to actually know what you have felt, Niji. You might not know this, but my parents died sacrificing themselves to seal a tailed beast into me that took the lives of a lot of people in this village and nearly destroyed Konoha as a whole. Because of a couple stupid and bitter idiots on the council who can't tell the difference between a scroll and its contents, I haven't been living the high life I was fated to live, as you would say. Sure, I had Anko-chan to take care of me for a while, but my life was still shit even with her around sometimes. I had constant assassinations on me, mob attacks on my birthday, people ridiculously overpricing me and nearly being raped. This one time a certain fuckboy of a man thought doing that to me would help him relieve his anger of the lose of his ex-wife and child to the QB. You know how I feel about all of this? I don't feel pissed at all, because I know that being angry at them, points to the villagers, won't solve shit for me, so I did the best thing I could do and not give up on living my life the way I wanted to, not the way your fate wanted. I just recently got lucky and found out about my parents and my heritage as an Uzumaki. But did I let it go up to my head? Fuck no! I'm still the same, always grinning but take no shit idiot I was from the academy, because even though I have everything I ever wanted in life, I'm still chasing that dream of becoming Hokage no matter what happens to me. And fate? I don't believe in that shit, cause why? I defied that shit 10 times over in my life. Now can you just shut up and fight me like you're supposed to, or I'll just end this match faster than you can say fate." Niji was angered at what the blonde before him said about his belief and mocking it, and ran up to him in full speed with his right hand cocked back, hoping to land one single hit on Naruto's forehead to end the match quick. The 2 Konoha genin engaged in a hand-to-gentle fist fight, and Naruto was bobbing and weaving at every attempt Niji made to try and hit his vital points, which only infuriated the Hyuga more. Having enough of this, Naruto caught Niji's hand and pulled him just to hit him with a right elbow in the chest, causing the Hyuga prodigy to cough up blood and stumble back in pain of the hit to the sternum. Just as he was about to take a breath, he quickly dodged a right punch from Naruto, who came down fast as his punch landed on the ground, causing a lot of dust to rise, as most of the ground doing so created a crater at the impact of Naruto's mean right punch. Niji looked to see Naruto had left his position in a black flash, then looked around for him only to be met with a backhand to the face, sending him flying back while scurrying across the field to a stop. Naruto dusted off his right shoulder, then said to us, slowly raising, "Niji, you gonna take me seriously now? Or should I just finish this up quickly, cause I really wanna go for the special lunch I was promised back home at my temple?" Up in the stands of the shinobi, Asuma whistled as he said, "Naruto has definitely upped his game since the prelims. It looks like he mastered the Yandame's Hiroshin no Jutsu in under a month. The kid really is a bag of surprises." Enko, who was seated far away from Asuma, chuckled as she said, "Trust me, Asuma. What Naruto-kun is doing to this kid is just toying with him. Naruto-kun has mastered the Hiroshin no Jutsu to the point where he doesn't even require his father's markers anymore, and his speed has naturally increased from a high Jounin level to high Kage level with the weight seals applied on him right now. Unlike the time he unlocked his true Uzumaki chakra, he didn't have that much chakra control, so he spent the entire month doing chakra control exercises and learning how to use his new eyes he calls the Uzushigen." Kurenai folded her arms and looked over to her best friend and said, "Just how do you know all of this, Enko? I know you did move in with him and get engaged to him as his first wife, but how exactly do you know about his training?" Enko gave her trademark smirk and said to Kurenai, "I was there training with him, Nai-chan. The Uzumaki temple has this special training dimension that gives a person the ability to take a year's worth of training and turn it into a day. It's basically a dimension that runs on a different time scale than ours, as 1 day outside is 1 year inside. By the way, Nai-chan, I was wondering if you would be my maid of honor. Back with Naruto, the blonde was once again bobbing and weaving as he was dodging all of Niji's attacks, which were pretty slow to him in actuality. And with a sigh, he ducked under a right-hand hit from Niji, then did a leg sweep which Niji jumped over only to be met with a right foot to the face, pushing him far back from Naruto, who raised his right arm to him that caused Niji to be pulled back towards Naruto by some invisible force. Then he was met with a roundhouse kick that had him scurry to the ground and have his back hit the wall hard while yelling in pain of the impact. Naruto ran forward in Kage speeds that had most of the people up in the shinobi stands shocked, while two little girls watching the match were smiling at seeing their work pay off, while only one of them, as the other, remained stoic, while shaking her head negatively at her cousin's pride and joy for training their master. "You know he can do better than this," said Ophis with a monotone voice, but Jashin giggled in delight as she replied with eye smiles, "I know, Ophi-chan, but I still can't help but feel like I have accomplished something by seeing him beat the leaving daylights out of the person some of these ninjas would believe to win the match. Which reminds me, how much did they bet on the Hyuga? By adding up the bets, it's about 500,000 ryo. Remember that we still need to pay the fallen for guarding the temple and the summoning when that happens," said Ophis, only to be met with an eye roll from Jashin, who responded, "We already paid them, Ofi-baka. And besides, those two girls said they would do this for free for Naruto-sama. I'm already seeing an orgy with how many more of them are willing to throw themselves at him, all for his looks and power that obviously exceeds anything they have ever seen before, and for the fact that Naruto-sama has warmed his way into their empty and void hearts like he always does with a lot women he comes by. Naruto-sama really owes you big time, Ophi-chan." "Snickers, I think I know how he plans to repay me already," said Ophis, with Jashin eye widening at knowing what Ophis meant, then folded her arms and huffed with a blush as she said, "Lucky bitch. It has been 3 minutes since the start of the match. And Niji wasn't faring well, as his clothes were all messed up and he was bleeding from several open wounds on his person, as he could feel that his chakra was slowly becoming more and more depleted at his constant use of the rotation when Naruto would use his unbelievable godly wind and fire jutsu that has nearly set ablaze to the stadium if it wasn't for his quick thinking using the sand around him to switch of the flames. With the sand turning into a glass by the heat, he looked up to see Naruto just finishing the hand signs he was doing and said, "Fire style. Phoenix Fire Jutsu." A torrent of 1,000 small fireballs came flying towards Niji, and the Hyuga prodigy once again began to spin as he shouted, "Rotation." And the rotating chakra protective force field came up, stopping the fireballs from attacking Niji. Once he stopped rotating, he immediately turned on his Byakugan, then saw Naruto slowly walking up to him, not even looking, a little tired from the constant fire jutsu and wind jutsu he has been using. Niji growled at this, got into position as he said, "I am getting tired of you toying with me, Uzumaki. I will end this match once and for all and show you that fate has decreed me the winner even with all your power exceeding mine." "Go ahead, take your best shot," said Naruto, who stood there with his arms to his side waiting to see just how much damage Niji's best technique could do to him, seeing as he could see the Hyuga prodigy was on his last legs. Niji smirked at this, thinking that the blonde Uzumaki before him has now fallen to arrogance, believing he could dodge his next move, and said, "You are now within my range of divination, 8 trigrams, 64 palms." The young Hyuga then ran up to Naruto and delivered the many Juken strikes while shouting, 2 palms, 4 palms, 8 palms, 16 palms, 32 palms. By the end of the barrage of Juken attacks, Naruto was somehow still standing on his feet, but could feel his body was now numb and blood was slowly trickling out of his mouth with his eyes being closed. Niji, who was now huffing and puffing as he could feel he didn't have that much energy left to continue fighting, smirked as he looked on at the frozen form of Naruto, and said all of that talk was nothing but a bluff. "Look at you now. As I said before, your fate was to lose to me, and now you are standing there with just an inch of your life left. I can see that all your Tenketsu points have been sealed, and now your special Uzumaki chakra won't be of any use to you anymore. This match is." Well, that was disappointing. Niji looked back at Naruto, then stepped back in utter shock of seeing through his activated Byakugan the very same Tenketsu points he had closed through hitting them were now being forcefully opened as the very core of Naruto exploded with white chakra that had spread throughout his body, unsealing the Tenketsu points he closed up. "I am impossible. How can such a thing like this happen? I shut off all the points in your body. Just what are you?" Naruto slowly stood up and looked at Niji as his eyelids opened, revealing the white rings in his gloss black eyes spinning fast, and said, "Me? I'm just a kid with a lot of bad luck. But don't take my word for it. Go ask that bitch you have given your whole life believing to be real. She knows I'm the type of guy who never falls down no matter how hard you come at me now. It's time I end this match." Naruto narrowed his eyes as he looked deep into Niji's pale white eyes and said, "Tsukiyomi." Up in the Kage stands, the Kazekage eye widened and voiced his shock over to Hiruzen and said, "This young man, he hails from the lost Uzumaki clan, but his mysterious Dijutsu gives him the variant abilities of the Uchiha clan's Sharingan, and also has the strong affinity of fire and gravity release? How is that possible, Hokage Dano?" I have never seen such eyes or power before in my experience and knowledge of the Uzumaki clan. Neither have I, Yandame Dano. According to the history of the Uzumaki clan, it is said that the ancestor of the clan was a descendant of the mythical Rikudo Chunin, and wielded a dijutsu he was gifted from the Shinigami himself. In a way, the Uzumaki clan has always had a better relationship with supernatural beings as they were given their longevity by the Shinigami, and were given the mask of summoning as a way to establish some sort of summoning contract with the said deity. The scientists of this great village have deduced that Kushina was carrying the DNA of the Uzumaki ancestor, but could never activate the Kekkei Genkai along with the abnormal white chakra that is said to be that of a god. But doesn't the legend of the sage say that he had white chakra too? Said the Kazekage, and Hiruzen narrowed his eyes then responded in a low tone. Yes, it does speak of that. Back in the stadium, once Naruto mentioned the said genjutsu, Niji I widened first then screamed loudly for a short 5 seconds then fell to knees then collapsed on the ground with his eyes going to the back of his head. Genma quickly checked Niji's pulse, then stood up as he said winner by knockout, Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto looked up to the crowd then I widened at the many cheers we was given by the crowd as he thought to himself they're cheering for me? No, they're just sucking up to me, that's all whatever. If they want to cheer then who am I to stop them? Besides, I always daydreamed of this moment as a kid, but now the feeling is just not the same I guess. Naruto then left the field as he walked up the stairs then got up to the booth ignoring the looks of shock he was getting from the Suna siblings, besides Gaara. Hey Shikamaru. You better not forfeit the match you're gonna be in now. I saw your mom up in the stands with something that looks really big, shiny and probably made from steel too said Naruto, only to be met with a grunt and a troublesome mother by Shikamaru. Time skip. The fight is the same as the canon with Kadamaru forfeiting his match with Kankuro. It was now the match between Gaara and Sasuke, and the self-proclaimed leader of the greatest clan in existence, and Uchiha Elite still wasn't there as he was yet to arrive for the fight with Gaara standing in the field not looking too pleased about his opponent not arriving as his mother desperately wanted to spill the blood of the last Uchiha. Up in the Kage stands, the Yandame Kazekage was trying to talk to Hiruzen Sarutobi about letting Sasuke compete but still failed the finals since a lot of people have came to see him fight Gaara. But the Sandame Hokage shook his head and responded, as I have said before, every contestant of the finals are genin understanding the importance of this part of the exams as they know very well that they, along with their respective villages, will be judged for how they perform here in the final part of the Chunin exams. Even if my village is hosting, allowing Sasuke to still compete now will be seen as a sign of favoritism shown to the Uchiha, and that will give us a bad reputation as a village. Therefore, Sasuke must be disqualified, and Naruto-kun will fight your daughter to determine who will be fighting Gaara-kun in the finals. Osushi Ox. Tell Genma that Sasuke is to be disqualified for not arriving to fight Gaara, and will not be competing against anyone as he as of now failed the Chunin exams. The Umbu nodded and left the Kage stands in a leaf shunshin, then whispered into Genma's right ear who nodded to the Sandame Hokage and said due to Sasuke Uchiha not arriving for the match, he is to be disqualified with Gaara no Sabaka being the winner of the match. Insert booing from the crowd. The next match will be poof. In a poof of smoke, Sasuke and Kakashi finally arrived with the later saying to Genma, are we late? Yeah. Because of that, Hokage-sama has disqualified Sasuke for not arriving any sooner, and he won't be competing with anyone as he failed the Chunin exams altogether. What did you just say? Said a fuming Sasuke, who would have said more but noticed Kakashi walking away and turned to him, while shouting, hey get back here and defend me you lazy coward. If it wasn't for smack, the crowd, along with Sasuke, was stunned to silence when Kakashi turned around and gave a backhand smack to Sasuke who was pushed back by its force and said to the Uchiha with a stoic expression, this will be the last time I ever speak to you again, or even look at your disgusting face again. I will never ever teach your spoiled selfish ass anything ever again and I don't care what you think of me, and I never really did as I only trained you because the civilian council was blackmailing me which might I add is now coming to end today. I won't tell you this again, now stand the fuck up, and go back to that empty house of yours as you are no longer needed here. You have embarrassed this village and this country enough already. Back at the stands, the Kazekage was thinking to himself while watching what was happening to Sasuke. Damn it! Curse this old fool for stopping Sasuke-kun from competing and curse that blasted Kakashi. I can't allow Gaara to fight the Kyuubi brat as I know he will most likely knock him out before he can rely on the Ichibi for chakra and lose control. I guess I have no choice but to start the invasion right now while I still can, and killed Sarutobi-sensei and captured the Kyuubi brat and Sasuke-kun at the same time. The Kazekage took out a small mirror from his right pocket, then flashed it into the crowded seats giving some sort of signal to a masked figure in a black cloak hiding behind one of the seats who recognized it, and did a few hands as he whispered, Feather Illusion Jutsu. In just that very moment, white feathers could be seen falling from the sky and all of the civilians in the crowd soon began to fall asleep while most of the shinobi and kunoichi recognized the genjutsu, and immediately released it before they could fall for it. Ophis, who was not affected by the genjutsu at all with Jashin who decided to succumb to it out of the fun of experiencing the illusion, took out a flip phone and dialed a number then called it. As soon as the call was answered, she sat back onto the chair and said to the voice on the other line, Azazel, it's time. Open the gateway and make sure no innocent human is harmed. Understood, Ophis. Over and out. Naruto looked around him to see several Suna Jounin with Oto Jounin surrounding him, whiling releasing all of their killer intent on him, and saw Shikamaru knocked out cold as he was hit with a chop on the back of the neck, and the Oto Genin being Kidamaru was long gone. The blonde Uzumaki looked at them all and said, "An invasion, huh? And by the looks on your faces you're all either here to kill me or kidnap me for whoever sent you. Well, I got 2 words for ya," grins and spreads arms out, Shinra Tensei.